What's going on? What's going on? Can you hear me?
What's happening? What it is? What's happening? What's happening?
All right, man. Listen, man, I saw some of the show last week, man. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool, man. So this is a good This is a good part too, though, man. I think we could have some interesting discussions, man. So what's going on, man? Talk, man. You said you
Look,
were. You
man,
said, yeah.
it's another beautiful day, man. Um, last week we were talking about men. Hold on one second. Give me a second. Yes, sir. Do you need anything at all? Oh no, I'm good right now. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, last week, I wanted to be able to make sure that there was a platform for men to just be able to talk about men stuff, like some of the
Right.
shit that we can do for ourselves to make ourselves better, some of the things
Mhm.
we can do for men under us to help them grow and develop to be better, which also ties into older generation. So your generation being able to learn from mine being able to learn from one younger than me, like that kind of conversation, right? And then now, I do think it's important to have a conversation about early development of men, because sometimes men are coddled and raised in a house. Let's without pissing people off too early, just raised in a household where they're given a little too much freedom and become a little soft. Okay, some of these niggas is growing up soft. So
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
keep
You know
the
what?
conversation.
But that's go ahead, man. Go ahead, finish. So that's not the
No, I'm
only
sorry.
point, though. One of the things I think we need to kind of look at is that a lot of men that we're talking about, and I almost hate to say it, maybe even the majority of men we're talking about today may be in that situation where they only have one parent in the household. It's almost more like the rule as opposed to the exception. Because I can tell you that uh, my father, I stopped living with my father when I was 7. My mother passed away, and this is way back in the day. My mother passed away when I was 7. He was working 16 hours a day. So I moved in with his sister and my grandmother. We lived in a communal house like that kind of. So I only saw him maybe once a month, once or twice. So he was out in Harlem. I was in the Bronx. He didn't get up that way that much. He just gave the money to my aunt. She became our legal guardian, and it was a house full of women. You know, so even though I'm a so-called baby boomer, so I wanted to make sure we got that across because we're going to be talking to an audience of men who are raised by women, and I think what we need to, as we talk about all the other stuff, that we need to also say that there's a lot of men who were raised by women who overcame the fact they didn't have two parents, and whatever challenges they had to fix and plug those holes on their own. Now, when did they do it? What kind of mistakes did they make? We don't have to get into all the weeds because I don't know what the percentages are, but we are talking to a lot of men who actually might be well to do today, have families, raising their own kids, and had trauma from being with a single mom who wasn't really all there in terms of how to raise a man. There's probably a lot of stories in the naked city that way. So when we come off and talk about this topic, that's just one angle. We don't have to go down that whole angle. But but I just want to make sure that we don't kind of maybe disrespect some of the men who are actually making things happen, who only have one parent,
Of course.
which was a mother, and she might not have been all there, but he had to overcome, right? Because I don't know, some guys get self awareness. I think that happened to me, but my story will be different than the next guy, And in my time, it might have been easy to find that self awareness because peer pressure kind of pushed a lot of my generation into the direction of finish high school, look to go to college, get a job. You know what I'm saying? Nobody had to actually sit down. I went to a Catholic school when I was I went to a Catholic high school. So the environment that I was in, all my friends went to public high school. Catholic high school, all the kids, my peers were college bound.
Yeah, so the
So
structure you had was completely different. It
right,
was completely
right.
different. Yeah. Because it's in a public school, it's a free for all. You
A
get it,
free, and back then it was a free fall. I mean, it still was a free fall back then.
it
They
still
lived.
is now. Yeah,
Yeah, I used to be jealous of those schools, man. Those guys who skip school, they do this, do that, man, hanging out. I couldn't do that shit. I could not do that, So there's a lot of stories that way, but still, we have an issue, and the chickens are coming home to roost. And I think the recognition, every problem that we have in the Black community, sometimes we got to actually let it lay on the people that's responsible for it. What's up, Curtis? And there's Finesse Visions, yeah. So welcome, that's me. Yeah. So all I'm saying is, that's kind of what we do. So you saw that I sent you some information. I got a couple of links. Man, you know what? Crimson Cure just finished Alive, and she hit on almost everything we're going to talk about today. And you ever see Crimson Cure? You know who I'm talking about, right?
I'm not. I'm probably in passing, but not too familiar.
Oh, man.
I'm not
Crimson
too familiar.
She's a Muslim sister, and she's like a coach, a femininity coach, kind of. And not that she just talks a lot of real stuff, and she's on she keeps it on the sisters big time. She's a little older. She just got remarried maybe 2 years ago. She's got a book out. She's pretty good. A lot of people are familiar with her. So hey, there go my man. What's that? Another brother come in. What's going on, man?
Big dog.
Yeah. So once we could drop the link whenever you want to. But what I wanted to do was kind of say, all right, so let's get started where we the first link I did, and whenever you're ready, we could just chat some more.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for some more people to come in. But the first link I wanted to show was Crimson Cure actually showing an example of a young man who was raised by a single mother. And he was told to discipline his younger brother, probably from a different father, right? And we're not going to show it all because it get kind of violent, so I'm not going to show that part. But then she comes on and explains what we're seeing from her perspective and and from the perspective of what she thinks the mother is using that older son for, right? And it really kind of sets the tone for what we want to talk about today, because I mean, even though there's a spectrum of how women raise boys, a lot of it leaves the boys either a son husband, which is a new term, or the attack dog, or a little sassy. But then we get into the statistics that a lot of males fail when they raise just by their mothers. They're just not ready for the world. They're not
Or
ready
at least coming out on a learning curve. If
Right.
even on the best case scenario, you're 2-3 steps behind a man that was raised by or alongside his father.
Right. Yeah.
So,
exactly. So when we see some of the athletes that come out with their mother, at least for their whole collegiate and high school years, right? They've been rubbed up against men, around men who were training them, right? So sometimes they seem that they're okay, but that's really the exception. I mean, how many people become professional athletes, but they'll always have the high mom thing. So they're not the rule.
yeah, because even in the athlete situation, they might only pay attention to the top 2% of athletes. You got to be a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant in order for them to actually spend the time wanting to. Because if you a bench player, you only play like a basketball player. If you only averaging 3 minutes a game, they not
They
really.
they ain't mentoring.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true. That is true.
So
there's a lot of disadvantages, man. And so a couple of extensions to this, like for last month, the month of April, 106,000 Black women lost their jobs. I don't know if you saw that. But the job report was a good job report for everybody else except Black women. And so now the ones who don't need a man, I got my job, I'm the most educated and all that. Now they're losing their position because their usefulness is starting to go. So that might even have more of an impact if they have kids in tow. You're going to lose Section 8. Well, I don't want to get into that, but they're going to lose some food stamps. A lot of the shit that they take for granted is starting to go away. So I can't imagine what's going to happen to the kids that they already have if they can't take care of them.
So spot to be in.
It's enough, so and the reason why that's important, because when we tie into the fact that that's not Black men's fault, because the statistics show that most Black men don't have kids. 54% of us don't have kids. So a lot of those boys who are being raised, Black men didn't put them on this earth. Sisters have outside lovers, almost 1 million more kids than Black men have. So there's a lot of statistics. The Medium Man, I don't know if you ever heard of him. His statistics are spot on because he always has receipts to back a lot of that shit up. And we'll get to his thing. So I mean, there's a reckoning coming. What's going on, Trey? What's happening? And so and even with the layoffs, right? When most of those Black women have government jobs. Right, so the government jobs or lower level jobs that are non-STEM, service level jobs, those are the first to go. So the reckoning is coming, man. It's just happening. So
to say it harshly, like I'm hearing what you're saying. To say it harshly, sometimes when I talk to my daughter, I'll be telling her I'm not a fan of you going to college to get one of these bullshit degrees. You're not going to college to get a goofy ass degree just for the sake of getting one. Like I need you to get a degree that's actually going to get you something long term. So like you said, STEM, engineering, mathematics, technology, even nursing. Even nursing is better than a lot of these degrees these highly educated individuals have. So not supporting bullshit degrees, and that I think is in you talking about 100,000. That I think is a important part of trying to figure some of this out. What kind of degrees were y'all getting, and what is the career field that y'all were in for y'all to be able to get laid off at such a high rate?
Exactly. And so when they had a sister on, I don't have that clip. She kind of broke it down from the fact that people who want to get all excited, they're just targeting Black women. No. A lot of them were put in those positions because they added 2 points, right? When they had all this other stuff, they were 2 points. They were a minority, they were Black, and they were a woman. But they put them in the lower positions, and some of those positions are no longer needed. So they're like the first to go, first hot man, So it's going to be a big study about that. Here's this. What is Trey saying?
Some of the top degrees for Black women include health and medical administration services, human
community
services and community organization, social work, public administration, and psychology. Yeah.
So there's a lot. So what I want to do is, now that we got Trey Ferguson's in the house too. Where did he go, man? What's going on, Trey Ferguson? Maybe we show this first link, and I'm only going to show a minute of it because there's a lot of cursing in it. But it'll get the point across of how the mother energizes one son to discipline the other one. And then Crimson will come on and she'll talk about some of that stuff and then kind of set us off to go further in what we're talking about. We have a real discussion after that. So it's...
Sound good to me.
You got it. All right, so let's find that. All right. You want to try that disrespectful shit with me? I'm tired of hearing about that shit. I gotta come down here one more time. Punch you down your shit, nigga. Stop fucking playing. Get your motherfucking shit together. I'm trying to see someone give me a school. So what? You get your mother. You still one who could have been in school. You wanted to go to school. She made me go to my girl. So what? That's what your motherfucking ass did to me. Get your motherfucking shit together. That's what you better do. You was not gonna be out here thugging going to tell none of that, nigga. I'll kill you before I let you do that. And get your motherfucking shit together. That's what you need to do. That's enough of that. So this guy, I thought it was his father at first. Then I found out it was his brother. In the beginning of this clip, he's beating on him. He's on top of him and he's swinging on him. He's hitting him, man, upside the head. So I said, then we don't need to show that. So we're going to kind of show what Crimson started to talk about with this one. And let's go from there.
Okay. So that was a lot. And I did warn you about the language. This is what our young men go through in these households. These are the mentalities that they are being raised with these single mothers in these households. The first problem is the older sibling is acting in an attack dog manner for his mom. That's a simp. She raised an attack dog. This is what Black women are talking about. This is what these gynocrats are talking about when they say they want Black men to protect them. They raise the men as boys to be attack dogs, even with other family members or other siblings. Now, he could have had a similar talk with him in love, but instead it was prefaced with fighting and violence on behalf of her, on behalf of a woman that he claimed that he called her out of her name. And don't disrespect her and in defense of her. He wouldn't have had to do that had she not chosen to be a single mother and had she had their father around. Then their father would be able to curtail any disrespect that was going on, because boys outgrow the authorities of their mothers, but they don't outgrow the authorities of their fathers. And when they do get to that point where they no longer wish to deal with the authority of their father, they feel like they can have their own leadership and their own system, order, and structure. That's when they're adults, and that's when their fathers see them out. And not even in a bad way. I'm talking about in a functional way. This is when their father set them up. He done, look, I done raised you, I done gave you, I done shown you what leadership is. I've shown you what manhood is. I've taught you about your manhood. I've taught you about your masculinity and how to show up in the world as a man. Now it's time for you, you know, your 2021.
Definitely. No, I wanted you to pause it because I wanted us to put some fair use space in here. Talk, you know how
I was going to end it right there anyway.
Okay.
I try to do like 3 minutes, maybe max, and then I'll
now.
Go ahead.
In terms of what she said, so I'm trying to reevaluate. I'm reevaluating my childhood because I've had these experiences with one of my brothers. And the thing about the experiences that I had with my brother is, before you get to that point, I've had plenty of, come on, bro, what's up, man? Why you tripping, bro? Like, why you on this bullshit, man? Like, I've had plenty of, let me be a nice brother and try and talk to you. To me, it wasn't even about my brother. About my mother. What my mother did teach me was that the three of us, because it was three boys, we matter to each other more than anybody else. If there's anybody, the way that she raised us was that if anybody, something she used to say is, if one of y'all get your ass beat, all three of y'all better get your ass beat, or I'm gonna beat your ass. That's so sure. Maybe some would think that she's raising attack dogs. Sure. But just the idea of protecting each other and looking out for each other and being my brother's keeper, like, I appreciate the fact that she gave that to me. And I've had an experience like this with my brother, where because my dad wasn't around, he just wasn't there, and not because he didn't want to be. Part of that was him being in the army, so he wasn't able to be hands-on and be there directly to raise his sons. Okay. And sometimes a boy needs to get his ass beat. Sometimes a little boy needs to get punched in his chest in order to receive the message that you're trying to give him, because the little nigga don't listen when you being nice. So I'm not completely mad at this thought process. I'm not completely mad at what he's doing here with his brother.
Yeah, the only thing is, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's a matter of perspective, but I couldn't show the whole clip. Maybe that perspective would have changed the way he was going at him and the reason why he was going at him. Right. So, I mean, before you get to that level,
what's the reason? She was raving about Daniel.
Who's that? Somebody say something. Go ahead.
I was asking, what's the reason? Because I caught it late.
Yeah, so I only showed 1 minute of it. I think he had some issue going to school. you know, he had there's some issue. His mother's not doing some of the things he needs her to do so he can get to where he got to go. There was some, and then he.
So he's got behavioral issues. Was that what it is?
That's what they said it is. I think that's what he said it is. But I just couldn't show. I couldn't hear what he was saying back, other than, you know, a couple of things. But I understand what you're saying. 100 wives. You know, so what's going on, my man? So anything else on that track? I don't know. You saw the clip, right? What's that?
I've been in a lot of houses with this called unruly children, disrespectful children, teenage boys who are, a lot of them was bigger than me at 14 and 15. Here's the thing. I have 2 kids. I've had to spank my son once his entire life. He'll be 16 this year. I've had to spank him once.
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan of corporal punishment or being physical. However, I do think there is a place for it, depending on the child. And you've heard me say this before, Mr. Payne. Every child is different. So every child has to be disciplined in a different manner, right? What you can do for one child, it may not work for another. My daughter and my son, they're flip-flop. Right? I can just look at my daughter, she'll break down crying. My son's a little tougher, you know what I mean?
Right,
so if this is what was necessary for him, then I can understand it, right? I do also agree with 100 Watts. This obviously, I don't believe this is the first time they've had that conversation either. I don't believe that either. I believe what 100 believes too is that they probably tried to come at him in a more calm manner. That wasn't working, so they amplified it a little bit. However, the issue that I'm having is that a lot of the times in these videos, we don't show these young kids what's your outcome. Right. What I'm trying to save you from is so that you don't become this, right? Because guys who don't get an education tend to end up becoming this. Guys who don't go to school tend to end up to become this. We don't ever give them the end result. And I told my son when oh man, I can't stand this math. And I said, well, this is what happens to niggas who can't count. You get somebody else to count their money for them, and then those men steal the money from them. That's what happens. So you need to learn how to count. You need to learn how to do these equations so that you can count your own bread so nobody will steal it from you. Then it started to click for him, like, yeah, I don't want nobody to steal my money. So oftentimes we don't teach them the back end of it. But I do agree that some young boys, you gotta go a little harder on. You just have to, and it doesn't look good. The optics aren't good. Like the optics aren't good. But that's what he responds to. It's unfortunate. We don't want to have to be that way. But if it's going to save him from going to prison or being put in a box, I'd much rather have bad optics than to have him end up that way.
No, okay. I mean, I can see the connotation of that. I just couldn't hear what he was saying. I don't know whether he was being overpunished for something that should have been benign. I think one of the things was that he spoke to his mother out of pocket. Right, I caught that. So it like I said, if I had showed the beginning, I just think, with YouTube being the way it is, I didn't want to show the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's
real quick before it's Tan, right? Before he goes, we need to put some parenting classes in our community too, because you can set your clock to some of this stuff. Like when you get a teenage boy. All of us know we all had a moment where we thought we had hair on our nuts and hair on our chest and we bucked up. We all have done it. You can set your clock up, right? We need to have some parenting classes to tell you, hey, these are some of the things that's going to come down the pike for having a young boy and a young girl, right? These are things that are going to come. So we need some parenting classes in our community too, so you can be better prepared for these types of things when they inevitably come along.
No, that's true. True. I hear you. I mean, listen, that's the interpretation. Crimson had an interpretation. And I think she was on the mother for not, I guess, doing what she needed to do. What's going on, Black supremacy? Go ahead, Sam. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? I was coming up when Crimson Cure was talking, so I didn't really get what she was saying. But kind of like Trey was saying, I just needed more context on like what's happening, because maybe that guy, that little kid, was stealing. And sometimes you may need that older brother to put fear in him. But I think what you're trying to say initially is this is where the dad's supposed to come in. And I'm not a father yet, but I've had a father who was a lecturer, and I'm glad he was, because he made me sit down and think about what I did and what the consequences was. I even had to do a project one time because how I reacted in middle school. So I think where you're getting at, that masculine male figure in the household that knows how to be a man and be a leader of men wouldn't have went that way. You know what I mean? So,
probably not. Probably not. You know, I don't know how often that kid is in the house either. But I do hear what Trey and 100 are talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that what Crimson's perspective, because that tape was much longer, so I just didn't want to show it all, and maybe we would have had a different perspective. But she also says that if the father was in the house and the kid starts to buck up at a certain level, a certain age, sometimes it's time for the kid to leave.
well,
You know what I'm saying? Or the young man, if he's 18 and he don't want to be under the rule of his father anymore, that's kind of time for you to go.
Yeah, it's kind of rare to see. It's kind of rare to see that, especially with the dads I've seen grow up and raise their kids from youngin, especially when the mother tells the kids that, hey, you need to respect your father. But if it's like a step parent, yeah, sometimes y'all's peace and y'all marriage is way more important, and he may need to ship off to Job Corps or something else. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen before too, personally. Not to me, but to my older brother. He got shipped to Job Corps because he was really acting up. You know what I mean? So I understand.
Yeah. So I mean, so based on the purpose of what we want to talk about as part 2 of this, what did we say? Like, women hate the men that they've created. Now, just that statement alone, right? And you come to the modern era after decades of the way things have been. A lot of women can't stand the men they have that they created, right? Because they raised most of them, right? I mean, through the last 3 or 4 decades, 5 decades, women have separated themselves from the men that they think they're better than, and it's coming to a head. So now that their daughters and stuff like that are looking for husbands, or they're not even looking for husbands, they're looking for partners. They don't even want to. When's the last time you heard one of these women online saying they're looking for a husband? They're looking for partners. And to me, there's a connotation to that, right? There's a connotation that, and they said, well, there's not enough good men out there. Well, your mothers and your aunties are the ones who are raising the guys you have to pick from. And that's undeniable. So when they try to gaslight us as men and say, well, where were you guys at? Then the statistics start to pop in because 54% of men don't have children, right? And then when you start looking at the ones who are deadbeats, and then you have the CDC report saying a certain percentage of the men are really good fathers, whether they're in the house or not, right? There's some reports on that. So if you even said that 23% of the men were like deadbeats, have multiple kids, well, we don't know how many of those so-called deadbeats have been alienated from their children by a bitter mother, right? And that happens. And so there's a lot. So the thing I'm trying to get at is there's no way you can argue that the plight of a lot of Black men is due to the fact that they've been raised by single mothers. Even if you wanted to put it on Black men, like it's our fault, statistically, that doesn't hold water since most Black men don't have children.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was watching a podcast before this, and I took some notes, got some jotted down some stuff because I wanted to add more depth to the conversation even more.
Go ahead.
There's 3 examples of the men that they created, and only one of them came from them. So I would say around our age, millennial and Gen Z. So I got 3 examples. One of the examples is Travis Hunter. They hate the Travis Hunter type. The guy who's a sucker, he's a doormat, and he's not the future. He doesn't walk in a room with the swag, with the jewelry on, with the charisma. They hate that type, like, oh, he's too nerdy. The second type is they hate the red pill guy, and they hate the SYSBM guy. So these 2 guys are guys that they didn't breed, but by their actions from middle school, from grade school up to high school or to college, they created these archetypes of Black men. You got the Travis Hunter. Hey, I need to be soft. I need to be like Romeo and be at her beck and call. She really don't like him. she really ain't gonna take him
Oh,
seriously.
she don't like him at all.
The second guy, the red pill guy, he won't bend for her. He won't bend because he knows where it's heading. He has standards and he will easily walk away. There's no trauma bonding. There's no have sex to make up like the boomers and the Gen X did. Let's argue and then make up and have good sex. We not doing that. We're not doing that. So that's the second type of guy. Red pill guy, SYSBM guy. The third guy is a guy that actually came out of them. He has no motivation, he has no goals, and he has no provision. So when you see him on shows and when you see him on panels, oh, I need a guy that makes six figures. I want a guy that's an entrepreneur. Even though he may be happy, let's say Trey, right? Good, great profession. But even a guy like Trey or a firefighter, that's not enough. He needs to have some aspiration to be a multi-millionaire, right? So that was extreme because Trey had a great profession, has a great profession. Those guys have great professions. But that third guy, he has no motivation, he has no goals, and he has no provision. So he's comfortable being where he's at. And she can tell what kind of guy he is because he don't like traveling. He don't have a passport. You know what I mean? He don't spend a lot of money. He's just one of those guys where he's just gone with the flow. And that's the guy that was supposed to have his dad's imprint on him or grandpa or uncles to mold him of the type of man that he's supposed to be. And that's the only one that comes from them is the non-fixer and no leader. But the other two is something that we've learned from them, which could morph into a you have the Travis Hunter type or you got an SYSBM red pill kind of guy. That's my take.
I think the one example you gave of the guy that's comfortable and is not motivated, I think sometimes that perception is twisted and is unfair, right? Because if there's a man that finds a career, like if you find a career, you have a nice salary, you have your schedule down, you're able to, like, once you find these things, I think men are more comfortable accepting, like, okay, this is where my life is about to be at. I'm a teacher. I can do this for the next 15, 20 years. I'm going to be like, I think men are more willing to say, all right, this is where my life is, versus a woman always wanting to add more and get more and bring in more. And it always has to be elevated and brought up, where sometimes it's just okay to be where you at, like trying to strive to be something that you like. Everybody doesn't want the pressure of being the CEO, and that is fine. Like, everybody doesn't need to be the top dog. It's okay to find your position, what you're good at, and do that well. I think that is okay. And it gets disrespected so much because then you're not trying to make 100,000. Baby, I'm fine at this 75 I'm making right now. Why do I need to?
Well, you know how they'll trample over what you just said. They'll say, oh, you have no goals, you have no ambition, and I need an ambitious guy. I'm not saying that's what I would say, but this is what they're on totality. They'll mask it behind, I don't like comfortability. I need somebody that wants to aim towards what Elon Musk is making. You know what I mean? Shoot for the moon and land on the stars type shit. You know what I mean? That's what they're saying. You know what I mean? Because I agree with you. Like, some guys are
Go ahead, Trey. Go ahead, man.
No, I was going to say that. I'm a prime example of that. When I joined the police department, I never had aspirations to be the chief. I never wanted to be the chief, right? I was very happy with getting to detective and at most becoming a homicide detective, and I would have been good right then and there. You know what I mean? But I did date a woman that wanted more. Yeah. She wanted, you're smart enough. You should try to be a chief. And I was like, I have no aspirations to run the police department now, like none at all. Even when I was in the military before that, I was a K-9 handler, and I had no aspirations of becoming a chief master sergeant. Like, I was never in the cards. I was happy playing with the dog every day. I was good. And so what I think oftentimes is that we tell men, because you're not ambitious, that you are somehow less valuable than the man who appears to have more ambition than you. When, to me, the true mark of a man is a man that he's a craftsman, right? He's a guy who knows how to do his job, and he does it extremely well. And he is what we will refer to in the military as he's a subject matter expert. If I needed to know something, let me call 100 because 100 been doing this for 20 years. So he know how to get it done because he's a craftsman. I think we've gotten away from that because everybody's chasing titles. And it's because the women enjoy the titles. I remember during COVID, they were talking about some of the divorces. And one of the reasons for the divorce is that the women were upset that the men were losing their titles because a lot of people were getting laid off. So he was no longer the president of such and such. He was no longer the vice president of such and such. And then that was subsequently ending in divorce because he's no longer on this chain. But men, we don't operate like that. A lot of men are just happy doing the job that they feel is fulfilling enough. For me, playing with a dog every day and looking for bombs and drugs was good enough. I was happy. I was comfortable. Now, was I ever going to make, E9 money? No. No, I wasn't, because that wasn't my aspiration, but I was happier. I'll tell you, there was no more happier time in my life. So this is something that men, we have to push back on this and say, listen, this is it. I think KS was trying to get this point across to a lot of women. They really weren't listening. Like, this is it. This is my ceiling. This is where I want to go. And if that's not good enough for you, then you can bounce.
Yeah,
They
that's
showed up
one.
300 pounds. So.
Well, hold on, Rogus. Let me just say this. One of the things also we can't miss is some of these women ain't worthy for a guy who's high level. So, and a guy needs to understand that too. I mean, a lot of these ladies are asking for shit that they don't deserve. They don't have nothing else to offer. And so they want all this stuff.
Kevin.
Go ahead, Rogus. Go ahead, man. You go.
They showed up 300 pounds to Kevin Simmons. If they show up 300 pounds, you set your standard, and he had a bloviated standard. I disagree with.
Yeah, some of his stuff is out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pilgrim shit. You know what I'm saying? 1 to 10. We got to measure our women by a lot more different nuances, right? But it's like, all right, then, even if it's bloviated, how y'all gonna show up 300 pounds? That means fuck your standard, no matter what you set for yourself. So it's like, all right, and how do you believe that you're worthy? Oh, but whatever it is that I know y'all thinking y'all worthy of 300, that's amazing. What is it? It ain't them. It's something outside of them. It's something within, I don't know, the sisterhood or whatever the hell it is. But, bitch, you ain't healthy. You don't have the right attitude. You don't have the right perspective of yourself. What about these bad chicks who are 8, 9, 10s, and 11s and stuff? If there are women like that in the world. These chicks under delusion. They belong to the game.
Right. But my whole concept was to, like, what I'm saying is, like, these are the guys that created, though. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like what they want. They can want Mickey Mouse hands and whatever. I'm saying the guys that they created. Just kind of three type of archetypes, especially in our community. You got the Travis Hunters, you got the red pill. That's why it's me. I'm not going for it. And then you got the ones that have no aspirations. You know what I mean? No goals. They don't have any wherewithal or how to get it out the mud. And I've known some guys like that personally. Trust me, I've known some guys like that. So it's not like
meaning no internal drive at all.
Trust me. Yes, dudes that are cool with just being in the warehouse and making in South Carolina, North Carolina, Atlanta, making $5 an hour, just doing warehouse shit, and then going back and playing 2K. So we're not talking about the Pookies in the right. We're not talking about the dudes shooting.
No.
Yeah, we're talking about
that seems more like an Arrested Development.
Well, that's on them, but
that's part of it too. But man, Tan, how do you leave out the Pookies and the Ray Rays? Where do they fit in your 3 categories?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to go to the far extreme, right?
No. Go there, because they're being raised by single mothers too. A lot of them. So where do they fit? It's because a Pookie and Ray Ray could be in any of those categories, by the way, that you just mentioned. But if they fit in the category of guys with no ambition, one of the things they do have is time and maybe looks. Right? Time and looks.
In a way, Pookie and Ray Ray will fall under the 3rd category because there's so many ways you can mix that up. He may think his masculinity is off of how many women he can get pregnant, how many women he can smash. Yeah. So that ties into the no man in the household. So that 3 is what I'm saying is they breed that type of guy. They breed that future. They breed that guy that's cool with oh, my manhood's off of how many women I can get, and I ain't gonna turn out nothing. You know what I mean? So that's
I just want to see where you would put them. Go ahead.
The first two is off of how they've been talking and acting for the past 15 years. 15 years. Because I heard in the high school, I don't need no man. I don't need a nigga. I heard it, and I heard that in Seattle. So there's not a big.
Well, they've been saying that for a long time, and there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah, it's a lot longer than 15 years. They were saying it when I was in high school. I graduated in 02.
Those chicas are coming home to roost.
I heard it at 4. I heard it at 4.
and that's the ones that they molded to be like,
when they used to do the hair parties.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just now that we have technology to where we can all talk and have conversations for the past 15 years of, hey, save yourself, or hey, the red pill is, this is where reality. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. The past 15 years, they've morphed into communicating with the Paynes, with the Sons, with the Watts, with the Trays on different panels, and sometimes in the same cities. So,
right. So, man, I'm sorry, I got to finish.
No, you good.
And listen, I wanted to show this one guy, and maybe you guys might have seen him around. And he goes through some of the things we're talking about, but he ends. But I think it's pretty interesting in the conversation we're having right now. So it's a very, very short video.
So I saw this moronic tweet that says, white men love their women. BMs hate BWs. That's the difference. BMs are also the least educated and financially stable out of all men. They're not husband material. Okay, so the first thing I want to address is that BMs have this disdain for BWs. That's absolutely asinine. There is nobody who simps and panders more than BMs when it comes to trying to gain the attention of a BW. There's also no other group of men who will as readily off another man over a woman.
Oh man, what happened?
As BMs over BWs. You go through BW's comment section, you will see nothing but BMs. You go in their DMs, you will see nothing but BMs. You go to their followers, you will see nothing but BMs. If you see a group of BWs in public, they will be pursued and approached by no other than BMs. The idea that BMs must somehow hate BWs because they'll criticize them, judge them, and hold them accountable, and rightfully so where they should, is egregious. Because at the end of the day, the majority of BMs still pursue and marry BWs. And lastly, the idea of BMs being the least educated, least financially stable, and not marriage material. Well, the reality is the majority of BMs who are incompetent and who are not fully functional adults, they were raised by single mothers. BWs who are single mothers are the ones who raise BMs who are the least educated, least financially stable, the most likely to go to prison, the most likely to be unmarried, and the most likely to be woman abusers. BWs are the ones who create and raise the BMs that they go on to talk shit about. So if we're going to complain about BM incompetence, it starts with single mothers.
All right, so what do y'all think?
Tinder is like Zillow for people, and that's a really bad thing.
I had to say.
Yeah, let me address a few things here, because there's something that bothers me about this sort of like black men always in last place sort of thing. Medium Man did a video, and I'm glad that he did it, because I was going to give it to you, Payne, but he had already did it. The Department of Labor statistics came out and showed that black men for the first time had surpassed a white group, either white men or white women, in salaries earned, like the average salary earned. We had never done that before. We had never been higher than white men or white women, and Asian men and Asian women, for whatever reason, always at the top for some reason. I would imagine it has a lot to do with
is that a qualifier though of quality of man? As far as what is needed for our community.
Let him finish.
I don't give a fuck. I don't, you know what I mean?
What you think, it has nothing to do with my point. You can make your point. My point is that it's an incorrect statement when we say that black men are uneducated or undereducated and that we don't earn any money. When the Department of Labor statistics show that we are the fourth highest when it comes to salaries earned, right? It shows that. And I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, Rogish. That's
you gotta go back and forth. The thing is, y'all trying to present logic to something that they doing more feeling on.
Well, that's not anything new. That's what they do.
No. But the thing is, if you present, all right. So like what little homie was doing, you know what I'm saying? BM, BW, and all that. It's almost like we're objectified out of our being. You know what I mean? the thing is, of course, black men are going to pursue black women because that's who we want. That's what we feel has been made for us, whatever. Just because we want her to act right ain't a bad thing, but that's the way that they feel it because, feminism teaching, it is what it is. But the thing is, once they're making that type of decision, you realize that they're choosing to see you in a non-beneficial light when it comes to family guidance, family planning, and all the rest of that, right? This is all
somebody got an open mic.
Well, I was cut off. That's why my mic was open. But go ahead.
Right.
Oh, you said go ahead. But go ahead. You got it, dog.
No, you was already rolling. Go ahead.
All right. So I mean, the thing is, the qualifier should be that which we wish to maintain, preserve, put legacy towards and everything. Not what another, demographic is doing for their people or whatever, or for themselves. I don't know nothing about this, about a measurement based off of a value that isn't put towards restoration of our community. You know what I'm saying? Establishing an enriching balance for that.
You cut me off. You cut me off.
To
make a point that had nothing to do with the point I was making. The point I'm making is addressing the fact that we keep trying to make it seem as though black men don't make any money, black men are uneducated. That's the point that I'm
make it seem to whom? To whom? Who is this we that we're doing?
You said what?
You're talking about black women doing that, right?
I'm talking to America. I'm talking about America.
Roguish. I mean, a lot of people, when they refer to black men, they always like to say that we're on the bottom. What Trey is saying is that's not necessarily true, right? And that's all. No, we don't have to add anything to that, right?
So when you trying to change the minds of the people who think that?
No.
We don't give a damn to change their mind. I'm making the point according to the video. With the video displayed,
when somebody says something, you don't have to have an ulterior motive to correct what they're saying if you think it's wrong. It's
not correction.
I'm making
that correction at all.
We do have
I agree with him. With that's where black women are viewing.
We have a woman that frequents our chat who says often that black men are at the bottom, and it's incorrect. It's factually just incorrect.
That's part of her programming. That's part of her social conditioning. They don't run with the facts.
Okay. Well, hold on though. But are you arguing against people just mentioning that they're wrong? Right.
No,
wait a minute. When somebody says something that is wrong,
they're going to be a whole lot of wrong on here. So no, that's not what I'm doing.
That's what it sounds like to me. Because the motivation of somebody correcting a bad stat doesn't have to have any ulterior motive. Or why are you correcting them? That's what it sounds like you're saying to me. Maybe they're missing something.
No, it's not a correction of a stat. No. What it is an adjustment of where the actual value property is supposed to be. The whole element of measuring ourselves against other people in here outside of the community aspect of it, and in some form of individualism, but yet still speaking upon family, speaking upon relationship. But you know what I'm saying? It's almost like this is one of those communitized situations that the niggas in the black manosphere we trying to have. And it's like, all right, then y'all gonna talk about black women, but we're not talking community. You know what I'm saying? It's more along, okay, you get yourself right for us, for how we want you to get right or whatever. And you know what I'm saying, damn everything else. You know what I mean? So
everybody doesn't believe in community. You might believe in that, but everybody doesn't agree with you. Just because we share the same complexion.
Relationship?
Huh?
Why speak on family and relationship?
I'm not speaking on family and relationship. I'm talking about.
If we're speaking on black women and black men, that's what we're speaking on.
I addressed 2 points: that we were uneducated and that we didn't make any money. I didn't say anything about family. That's you who said that.
That's right.
Black women raising unfit young men. That is speaking of family, man.
That was his point. I addressed 2 issues that he named in that video. I didn't address.
I thought that was the whole point. I thought that was ultimately the whole point.
I was very
of the
specific
show.
in what I said I wanted to address. I said, let me address 2 things.
Right.
Yeah, that is the point of the show. But we got to be able to understand the context of what he was talking about. Listen, we're talking about the title of the show is what it says. And there's some truths into that, whether you like it or not. You know, the
Oh,
majority of
definitely so. Definitely so.
yeah, okay, so the majority of black men today are raised by, you know, that women don't like, or raised by women, right? And we could get into how much, I mean, what the man's responsibility is in that, you know, or not, right? So when we start talking about, because Media Man, I had something with him, we start talking about statistics. Even if you want to put more responsibility on the man's fault for these men, these young men being raised without their fathers, the truth of the matter is the majority of men don't have children. So they can't be the sole or even the most responsible for the fact that our sons or the young black men are not ready for the world. It's
Agreed.
actually the black women.
Agreed.
It's actually them. That this one, they can't really pass this shit off to men like they like to do all the time. They gotta take some accountability for the fact that a lot of boys today are not ready for the world,
Agreed.
right? And so
Right.
so that's where we're at. So if
Right.
that's where you're at, then I think we're back on the same page. You know what
We
I'm
was
saying?
never not on the same
Okay.
page.
Okay.
With the fact of them not being ready, what type of readiness do you think that they prepared them for then? Because they do send them out to the world as if they're just, just ready. What type of readiness do you think goes on in a woman mind when she say, "All right, my son is ready"?
Well, I don't think they put much emphasis on having their sons ready for the world. It just that's why that's what I'm thinking. If they really cared about their sons, their fathers would be more involved, or they wouldn't have kids with men that don't matter to them, right? So the fact
But what,
is that
but if their current values conflict with that which they would say they want to build and trying to build, then you know what I'm saying that's on to the issue. From where she's seeing is the issue, right? She's seeing wrong. She's under the wrong
yeah,
direction. She's under the
yeah,
wrong guidance. She's under the wrong impulse and all of that, right? And
I
think
agree
that
with
she's
that.
doing right. So where's she getting that
Exactly.
from? All right. So where's
So
she getting
in
that
in
from? The very same system
so
that she
cool.
about to
If
send
you wanna
the
if you
children into and prep them for.
So cool. If you want to go ahead and press forward on what the solution needs to be, I believe that the solution needs to be that there need to be more women that are willing to separate with their children and give the father custody of the kids. If this is going to be a household where y'all are not going to be together, because the reality is families are going to break up. Couples are not going to stay together. There's nothing that you can do in this world that will bring that will make divorce go away. So because divorce is always going to happen, I do believe that there needs to be an instance where women are more willing to separate from their kids. Because in my experience, when it comes to listening to sometimes listening to these conversations talk about how hard it is and how stressful it is and everything like that, when the question is asked, well, why don't you give them to the daddy? The two
Right.
responses always are either he's a piece of shit, which isn't always true, or
Right.
they don't want to separate from their children because they're afraid of being alone and by themselves. So if you can shake the fact that you afraid of being alone and send the children with their father, now we can start having a different conversation.
You
Because if
forgot the
if
third
if the
part.
conversation is to blame men for the fact that these kids are growing up fucked up, then give them to the men so they can continue. Like, give them to the men. I don't understand how it is that the men don't have an opportunity to raise the children and are blamed for how the children are coming up. That
You know,
doesn't
family
make
The
first.
sense to me.
children are largely
Let me add
valued as
let me add
material,
one more
first
thing.
and foremost. That's why they say my kids instead of
Right.
our kids.
Well, let
Have
me
you
add
ever
one
heard
more
of
thing
that shit?
before
That
you go,
you know,
Rogus. Let me add one more thing before you go. And you didn't hit this one, 100. A lot of women don't want to give up the kids because of whatever financial benefit they perceive they're getting by having those
that
kids.
too.
That's one.
That
And
too.
the and you know they will drag their kids through the worst situations, like homelessness and everything, other than giving those kids to their father. You know, so
That,
there's a lot of bad shit women are willing to do and drag their kids on with them, and
but the
it
fact that
happens
it
all.
doesn't resonate as bad to them, though, that's the issue.
Yeah,
The issue is like
yeah.
it's like why doesn't any of this touch your empathy strings?
Can I answer the question to the video? I ain't trying to be that type of dude.
Yeah.
Um, the video of what the guy was saying from Philly. Um, majority, I don't think black men hate black women. So I think
Oh
that was a
no.
whole lie. That was a whole filibuster and then just a whole bunch of junk. And the whole educated part, like, I mean, that's a whole bunch of to me, just shaming. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of black men in college that woman could have talked to. There's a lot of black men. So she's saying that is maybe her not getting the pick of her litter at the college, or having options, or being overlooked. But to me, that screams out like inside Payne, because there's a lot of black men in college. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't think black men hate black women. It's just we're the ones that are trying to fix them and trying to course correct. I think right now at this time, a lot of them are just not even dealing with it. It's not worth the squeeze. It's not worth the headache, because once you fix her and get her at a young age, now you have to go filter the mom and see what that mom and auntie and the grandma's putting in that woman's head. So that's even another part that you got to go down. You know what I mean? And I'm a guy that's really in debt. I don't care how a girl look, how she act. Now I got to see how your mom is. Will you cleave to me? Can we go out and separate from this negative toxicity that you have around you? I'm saying no.
Same energy with the mama, cuz.
Yeah, but
if it alienates you from the family, but it protects your household.
Yeah,
she
but
either go or she don't.
The thing is, a lot of these moms are devouring mothers, and they have that string in that daughters, to where that daughter's hard for her to let go. This ain't like the Roman times or the kings and castles, where the wife, like the mom, knew that she was sending her daughter off, and her husband was a good guy, and he can provide for her. A lot of these moms, if we're gonna bring up single parent households, a lot of these moms handicap their daughters because their moms don't want to be alone, because their mom can't get along with the man.
A lot of them jealous of the daughter too.
So I mean, if we're gonna have a real conversation, even when you get past finding that good girl, you gotta get
But I just watched a video of a gentleman. He was at a family function, his girlfriend's family function, and the girlfriend went to go make him a plate, and her aunts and her mom basically was giving her hell about it, and he wound up eventually leaving.
Yeah, you got
to me, I saw a woman who
right thing to do.
I think she instinctively thought to do this. This was the right thing to do, and then I saw women sort of tear her down, and so she's losing on both ends. She's got bad guidance from the women. She's also lost her boyfriend on top of that. So she's losing on both ends. Mm-hmm. And just quickly, anecdotally, about the black men in college, I'm a part of a black golf group here in the DMV area. I am the only member of the group that doesn't have a college degree as a black man. I'm the only one, because I was in the military. I'm the only one. All the black men that are part of this black group, and it's quite a bit of them, all have degrees from colleges. Literally, all have college degrees. So that's why when I see this stuff, I'm like, this is insanity. Like, I see black men with degrees all the time.
Yeah, trade fairways. That's why trade fairways. That's what.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to start up my golf channel. That's why I changed my name. Start my golf.
I'm looking at a stat right now that says that black men are the most graduated individuals from trade schools. So yes, your 4-year degree is cool. Your sociology degree is cool, but the fact that more black men are getting plumbing trades, electrician trades, welding trades, don't do this. So that 100,000 layoff that happened is not going to happen to a man that has a welding degree. That's not going to happen to a man that is able to be an electrician, because even if he does get laid off from his job, guess what? That motherfucker can put tools in the trunk of his car and go pick up work on the side.
No doubt. Yeah. And that's the deal, and when I hear the same ladies talk about, I want a college educated man to get a white collar job or something. And so, well, most of the men are more practical. They're not going to spend $100,000, $200,000 for some stupid degree that they can't use. They're going to go get a trade, and they try to discount that because you don't have your pinky out when you drink your goddamn coffee. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of discount those men. And it's the funniest thing is I believe those men probably make the best husband. I'm just making a blanket statement if they're looking to be married.
No. The thing is that they're solid. They might be square, but they're solid. And chicks, like to be, you know what I'm saying, wild and shit. And it's like, nah, you want to be entertained. That's not what a relationship is for. A relationship is
I'm a,
entertainment. You're building a
I do
family.
have a case study for all of you guys. And I got a case study I want to show you. It's real short.
before you go there, let me say something.
Yeah, let me just say it, then I'll let you go. I'm not going to go right now, but let me just say this. I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about this guy once we show it. It's just maybe 3 minutes long. Go ahead, Tam.
The secret sauce to that gumbo that we talking about, man. I noticed this a long time ago, man. The reason why they want you to be educated and have all those accolades and those degrees, so she can boast,
Show you off.
and show you off, rubbing her friend.
Hey, you
Oh,
a
I
show.
have a PhD. Oh, I have a doctor. You know what I mean? So to her, saying I got a plumber as a husband or boyfriend ain't really fancy to her. You know what I mean? So she can't really brag to her friends. So saying, oh, I got a truck driver as a boyfriend or husband, it don't give her the brownie points over her other friends.
Yeah, the title isn't sexy enough.
Yeah,
At the end of the day.
Exactly. So we got a lot of women like that are just entitled by titles. Because like even when they describe their job titles, oh, I'm a project manager. Bitch, you work at apartments, okay? Just say that, okay? You work in office. Like, stop trying to fancy and whip it all up. Like, just let's just say what it is. You know what I mean? That's like I'm not scared to say, hey, I got my LLC, so I do this. I'm a truck driver. You know what I mean?
But wait a minute. Look how far they'll go for the front now. Look at where the eyelashes is now. Them shits went like that in 1994. You know what I'm saying? I was just saying, cuz, for real, it's like what you do is look at how much fabrication she'll apply to herself, because you know what I'm saying, and it's to the point to where,
let me address something.
We're in future times with it. It's
So,
sick with it.
Let me address something, and this is the last time. Can you bring that comment up, Payne? But other nationalities of men are doing that, which is why they are more competitive and they have a higher income than medium black men. Guess what? They don't want you. They don't want you. Okay? They're not marrying you. They're not tied to you.
For real.
They can't go to the cookout. They can't watch the same. They don't want you. We've seen that in studies. We've seen that in dating apps. So you keep throwing up other men that don't want you. That's like me talking about a Lambo in a garage. Be like, hey, I would have did it that color. That ain't my car. That has no ownership to me.
Well, listen,
Hey, our Payne, to piggyback that, I've never been in a circumstance where black men weren't promoting education. Every basketball team I played on, every football team I played on, the coaches were always telling me to do well in school and to get my grades and to get an education. I've never been in this culture, this atmosphere of, we don't promote education. The problem is that when we talk about promoting education, it's automatically thought that we're talking about college education.
That's it.
Right.
That's all they know is
college. That's all they know. When 100 Watch literally gave you the statistics showing that there is more education than just going to college. And I remember COVID. I remember having to call a plumber. I remember having to call a roofer. I remember having to call a landscaper to get these things done because they had, I talked about this all earlier, having a craft. A craft, and as long as you can work with these, you'll always be able to make money. We don't, for whatever reason, our women they can't seem to get that wrapped around their. They don't understand.
I got another one for you. Trey. I bet you guys in trade school read more motivational books than guys who go to college.
Oh yeah,
you know what?
Oh yeah, I showed 100 Watts my book collection a little bit. Oh yeah, we do.
I got you right here.
They too, but they got to keep those businesses going, man.
Procrastinate on purpose.
They keep their minds big time, man.
Federal Reserve.
You got to keep it sharp, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to Franklin Covey.
So that's just another thing. So anything else? Let me just show this thing real quick so we can talk about it, because I know you guys want to talk. We'll talk about this, and I'm not even one of these kind of guys who's like into rappers and stuff. But I think there's something educational that we can get out of this in terms of the way somebody was raised and how they behave. All right.
Channel. Y'all, This story is quite sad. Look at what happened to our poor little mermaid. Halle Bailey claims that her baby daddy DDG put his hands on her and she had to file a restraining order against him, y'all. This is crazy. Now, I knew Halle and DDG had their issues. They broke up back in October of last year, and DDG blasted Halle for keeping him from seeing his son Halo. Now, the problem is DDG wanted to pop up and show up to her house and pick up his son whenever, but it doesn't work that way. They have to have a court-ordered visitation schedule in place. I mean, that will make the whole thing run smoother for them because it's clear that they want to be in their son's life, but they can't get along, so they need some mediation. But Halle has had enough with DDG. She first detailed an incident that happened back in January where he attacked her. She said DDG came over to pick up their son Halo, and she tried to start a conversation about a child visitation schedule. And she says that as she was buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims that DDG grew agitated and he told her, "Get up out my car, B." He kept saying it repeatedly. Halle then said the baby was crying and she got nervous about leaving Halo with DDG in such an agitated state. And then they started wrestling. She says DDG pulled her hair and slammed her face on the steering wheel and chipped her tooth. Halle said that she was in pain and she was crying, but she still remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, and she told his family what happened. And after she left Halo with DDG's family, she was crying. She was hysterical. She saw that bruises were on her arm and her tooth was chipped. And she actually posted a video of her chipped tooth back in January, which was around the time the incident happened.
I chipped my tooth and I'm just a little nervous.
And she didn't say how she chipped her tooth, but now we know why she was at the dentist getting it treated. Now, Halle did provide some more details about the other incident she had with DDG. Back in March, he showed up at her home and entered without permission and went to her bedroom and texted a picture of her empty bed to her and said, "I know what you've been on, LOL." So he was accusing her of sleeping with another man, I guess because he saw her hanging out with her co-star from The Little Mermaid, Jonah. I don't know, that's just an assumption, but Halle thought it was really weird that he did that and she was creeped out. 4 days later, he came back to her house and exploded. Now, if you remember, Halle and their baby Halo were sick, and DDG was mad because Halle wouldn't let him take Halo. And he went to the internet and said that Halle was keeping him from his son.
Behind closed doors, I have not been able to see my son.
All right, let me stop it there. Okay. Now, one of the things I did do was, let me get this off the screen for a second. Right. So what I did was, hold on for a second. What I did do was find out whether he was raised by a single mom. He was. Now, there's two ways we can look at it. Let's just take all the allegations of DV out of it. Is that a way for a man to behave when he wants his child? Well, you know what I'm saying?
Why not?
No, what, going over her house unannounced?
This is what I'm saying.
Let me finish.
My fault.
Go listen. This guy's the man of means. What's wrong with having a custody? If you're broken up, right, you should have a visitation schedule. You should not go over a house unannounced because you should anticipate drama. You don't go over a house, but you don't go over a house if she ain't there. Take a picture of her bed. That's not how normal fucking men act.
No. That's creep shit.
To me, that's really something with that. Where if he had a father, I don't think he would behave like that. What I would say is, I would say that if you have a dispute with a chick or with the kids, take her to court. He doesn't have no excuse. He can't be a money thing, right? He has it. Take her to court. And the biggest fucking thing is why you blabbing that shit over the internet that you can't see your kid.
That's what they do.
No, I'm saying that's not male fucking behavior. And don't tell me because it's the new kind of kid.
Hold on.
You know? Go ahead. Go ahead. You got some smoke for this. Go ahead.
This is what I'm saying. Everybody wants a man to provide and protect for his children. Why do you think just because you his mother, I won't protect my son against you too? You are doing something
okay.
to block
Right.
me from being around my son. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that popping up at her crib when she not there is cool. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, why is it not okay for a man to do what he feels is necessary for the protection of his child? Just because you my baby mama don't mean that you not doing something to hurt me and my child's relationship. The same way that there are plenty of women that will speak ill of the father of their child. They will go home every day and speak ill of the father of their child and have this child growing up thinking that their father don't want them, that their father thinks that they're a waste of time, that they didn't want to be around them, that they wanted to go make another family. I am going to protect me and my child against you too.
So objectively, that makes sense. But did he smash that bitch head in the motherfucker in the staircase though?
I was trying to keep that
if
out.
you smash the I'm just saying though, if you don't think that weighs in the decision.
Oh, we could talk about that part next. We can talk about that.
I don't want to talk about domestic violence. The thing is, if he did that, then I can understand her having some more standoffish, you know what I'm saying, ways of trying to keep homie back. And the nigga took a picture and whatever. So I mean, obviously he ain't there. So it's like, all right, you know what I mean? I ain't saying she wasn't in the wrong for nothing. You know what I'm saying? She probably know not to take off this light skinned motherfucker.
Well, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and say this one thing to 100 though. That I hear what you're saying.
I was gonna respond to that part.
No. Let me just finish this real quick. I hear what you're saying about. I'm hearing what you're saying, but he has the means to have a visitation schedule set up and adjudicated in the court. Now, if she started violating that, I can take it. But just going over the house and I want my son, man, it just don't work that way. I don't get. I mean, all of a sudden, the Little Mermaid is going to be some. She could be.
So you want to make him a weekend dad?
Hold on.
That's what's going to happen when he goes to court.
But he can't just show up.
Cool. Hey, hold on.
But he could just show up anytime. I mean, I wouldn't show up anytime somebody's house.
Yo, okay, he'll be a weekend dad, right? And I'll get to that Trey. Payne, to me, my opinion, Payne, you were right on that. 100. I'm sorry, bro. A man would have said, "Hey, man, you gotta take her to court so you can get them visitations." And I'm gonna roll over to what Trey said. You could be a weekend dad, but guess what he has on his record? Domestic violence. Yeah, that's on his record because she already filed that already. So as a man, hey, this ain't gonna work out. So I'm gonna take you to court. So I have my visitations on paper. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no he say, she say. There's no unexpected visits. That relationship is over with. And men,
are they at that age where they think like that though? Are they at that age? They look young.
What you mean by age? They're in their 20s.
Okay.
And he's also in love.
If you as early in your 22, 23, you still fucking up.
No, yeah,
but the point that I'm saying is, if he had a man in his life, if he had what Payne is saying, if he had a man in his life, bro, take her to court, get your days. So there's no fumble, there's no mishaps, there's no I thought this, I thought that. If I'm a weekend dad, cool. My son gonna eventually know the truth anyway, when he get old enough anyway. But right now, he's fighting a losing battle uphill. He has a record now of domestic violence, and she's trying to get she already filed
supervised
restraining order.
Exactly,
restraining order.
That's already on his record. If
she wants supervised visits,
yeah.
So all he gonna get is a weekend then, shit.
Huh?
He was always going to get a weekend anyway.
Okay, cool.
He was going to be relegated to a weekend dad.
It's the rule of the games of him getting with a woman. He did marry. He in America. You are beneath.
Even if he got married, he would have ended up a weekend dad. She would have divorced him.
No, he would have 50-50 custody. He would have 50-50 custody.
No.
Well, the court's
going to do 50-50 custody.
All right. Hey, 10.
Hold on.
Okay.
But my point is saying, bro, go to court. Go to court. Because no matter what, she's going to win in a court of opinion and in the court of law. He already has a record now dealing with her. I'm not putting that on my record no more. Hey, I'm going to put myself on child support. I'm going to see him this way. I'm going to see him that way. Because even if he was there full time, like you said, 100, even if he was split up and they had every other weekend, you could still be in a household married to a woman and she still spill poison to your kid. I've seen it personally. I've seen it throughout cousins and everything. I've seen it from my friends. So let's not say, let's not think because you're split up or you're together that it's going to be different about your kids looking at you with respect or anything.
Taking her to court doesn't change the fact that she has the ability to alienate him from his kids. She's already shown an ability to do that. Whether or not the child is sick is not a good enough reason for you not to give the child to the father. I have picked my daughter up several times when she was sick. I picked my son up several times and he was sick. And guess what? I had to take care of it. And I had to take care of a sick child. That's how it works.
That's not the argument. The argument is he's going through a lot of stuff.
My counter to your argument is going to court. It's fruitless. He's not going to be in any better position than he was before.
Yes, he will. He'll have visitations. He'll have sex.
He has visitation now.
It's not in writing though. He's not violating.
You guys want black men to go to court because you think court's going to help you? You think it's on your side?
Hey. I'm gonna give you a black pill, red pill about it. I'll be Anthony Edwards to the whole. I don't give a fuck about that kid like that because I already know how she gonna do that kid when it comes to thinking about me. So if we go, I'm gonna be Anthony Edwards because you already see what's happening right now. Already seeing what's happening right now.
He paid for the termination.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not what he did. He paid 18 years of child support, so he didn't have to be around.
Oh yeah, homie.
No. That was that. No, hold on. That was that chick. The one before that, he paid $100,000 to make that problem go away.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a kid that he has here that he already has.
If you think for one second that that's gonna fly, give it 5 or 6 years when she runs out of money, and let's see what happens then.
That's not his fault. He already paid up, bro.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way. You can't pay off child support. There's no court in the land that would allow you to do that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Actually, you can't. You can't because the thing is, the benefit isn't for her, the child, or him. It's for the state. Right. The benefit is for the state. So yeah, they don't want you to be able to pay it off.
There's no benefit to them.
Let me get one quick second. One quick second.
And a lot of dudes ain't dealing with
one quick second
of what he's dealing with. We not going for it. A lot of smart dudes ain't dealing that. Hey, put me on child support, and if you want to go against the court order, cool. Like Corey Hogan said, I could make another family, bro. But what he dealing with, he got more on his record now than before dealing with her.
Let my man 100 go, man. We got you.
That is crazy. That is wild. Just go make another. What the fuck are we talking about? That is diabolical, dog. Just this is what I'm saying. Look, I'm gonna tell you from the perspective. I'm telling you from the perspective of a father who actually does have to deal with child family court. I'm gonna tell you from the perspective of that. Okay. I, for number one, don't need another grown-ass man to tell me when the fuck I'm allowed to see my kids. That's number one. That's a bunch of bullshit. Okay? Number two, in terms of DDG, I still need there to be proof that he actually put his hands on her. Just because she said that doesn't mean that he actually did that. So if you eliminate that part of this entire conversation, that man hasn't done anything wrong to see his child. What we talked about earlier in this conversation, what we spoke about earlier in this conversation is the women that hold on to their children because they want to use it as a tool to manipulate the man and or they're afraid of being by themselves. That is what this presents like. So me as a father, I don't want you playing with me with my son. Give me my motherfucking son and we can work this shit out later.
You can say
if you want to take it to the point, that where we need to go to court, that's fine. That's cool. But that doesn't mean you need to interrupt my time being a father to my child. The shit that you're doing is emotional, petty, and it is hoe shit. I am going to be present in my son's life. I'm not going to wait until the weekend. It's Wednesday and I want to take my little nigga to go get some ice cream. I'm on the way.
That sounds good. That sounds good. But men are in that situation. And there's actually a phone call on men are in that situation, and there's men that wanted to go to their son's basketball game or football game or graduation, and the mom said no. There's times where there's dudes that go up and try to do the exchange.
I've seen that.
And it's real difficult, so they got to get even more court into it. Once they get to the court part, but so let's say you don't have no court into it. She can play with your mind and play with your emotions. I've seen men do it. I've seen men's health deteriorate from that shit. So instead of dealing with that, put them people in her life. Put them people in her life. I understand what you're talking about on the Superman of taking the road of the road that you should travel, but you're dealing with a different type of woman. You're dealing with a different
That's true.
You got to deal.
I hear what you're saying.
Put your health and how you make your money.
Damn, you're an agent.
I hear everything that you're saying. I hear everything you're saying, but the same woman that you're talking about is able to use the court to her advantage. So now she gets to say you're only allowed to see your son every other weekend. And when because she has the court order, she has the power to say you're not allowed to come to the graduation. Because she has primary custody, she's allowed to say you're not allowed to show up at my house for his birthday. So going to the court, I hear what you're saying. Now there's legal stuff involved, but it doesn't take away from the manipulation that is being used for me to not see my son. That is the only thing that matters here. You are playing all these fucking games to keep me away from my son. So yes, I'm going to protect him from you too, you grease. I'm sorry, I almost said something disrespectful.
You know what the other part of this is that there is no consequence for her not following what I'm telling you, as somebody who's been on the scenes, who's been on the scenes of this. If she decides that she doesn't want to give the child over, what's the consequence?
So even
without she's violating the court. She's in contempt of court. You should arrest her. They don't arrest them. You think Holly Bailey is getting arrested? They're not going to arrest the Little Mermaid. It's not going to happen.
So let me deal with 100 and Trey at the same time. No homo pause. You can have no court involved, and y'all can agree to go. So for you can take Johnny to Disney World in Orlando. You got the ticket. You got the rental car. You got the Airbnb. You go pick up Johnny. Guess where Johnny's at? Grandma's house in another city.
Ooh, that's funky.
So cool. Give him here. Give him here. If you are so adamant, if you as the mother is so my fault. My apologies. I apologize, big dog. This is a topic I'm passionate about, and I cut you off.
You think right?
My apologies, big dog. I'm cool.
Look, but the deeper message I'm saying, and I hear Trey, you have court. She may not ever be liable or held to contempt, whatever you said, right? What you said, right? So what do you do then? You're in a situation where you don't got court, you put them laws in, and she's still acting up. Guess what dudes are doing now? If we're not even playing the game already, but guess what dudes are doing now? Bro, I'm not about to let her stress me out like that. I think I got a life to live. That kid will come find me. I can see him, and my life is first. My life's first, man. I'm not stressing. I don't seen dudes get heart attacks over that shit. This generation of men aren't doing it. They're not doing it.
That's true. That's true.
Walking away. Because what he got a record now, bro. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but with all due respect, he's not going in for a government job. Like at the end of the day, he has a record. I hear you, but he's a streamer and a rapper. Like it's not going to really affect him. Like it's not going to count against his ability to be gainfully employed. He'll be fine. But here's the issue. The issue that because I've also been in family court. I'm on child support now, right? What I told the judge, right in the courtroom was, I think that it's utterly ridiculous that I, as a father, have to fight for the right to see my child. That is ridiculous to me. And the fact that you're sitting there and telling me when I can and when I can't see the child that I'm ultimately responsible for is utterly insane to me. So, and I told the judge straight up, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to force your boys to have to come lock me up. Because that's what you have to do. I'm going to force your hand to write the warrants and come get me. I'm going to see my child when I want to see my child.
So you don't show up unannounced, do you?
Yes, I do. I do it all the time. I'm on the same tip as 100. If I want to take my daughter out to go get, she ain't even got to do all that. She a cop. She can arrest me if she wanted to. Right. She don't do it. She don't do it because she knows that I'm not here to play those games with you. I'm here to be a father. I didn't have a father growing up, so she understands how I feel about that. I take it very seriously. I take my parenting very seriously. She understands
Yes.
it. I think even when I said it to the judge, I think it changed her mind. She's like, oh, this motherfucker's not playing. He's dead serious. You're not going to tell me if I want to come pick my daughter up and take her to get ice cream or go buy her some new shoes or take her to go do that. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
This is a broad question. Y'all are married, right? That's indirect. That's a direct question. Never married?
No, I've never been married.
Yes.
I've never been
Divorce.
married.
Yes.
She was a
Twice.
cop, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever ask her, like, why she even take you to court? Like, why are y'all why? Like, I understand
money.
I understand, honey. Like, why
money.
Mm.
She getting $1,200 a month. That's why. Money.
So
and this is something that's ultimately skipped. Now I don't know the DDG Holly situation because I would venture to say she might have more money than him. So I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know how much money she got paid from Little Mermaid, but I don't know exactly how that works. But in a lot of the cases in this situation where my investments were doing well and yada yada yada, she knew it. She didn't know how much, but she knew it. And so she had incentive to take me to court. Also, because I also didn't agree with the daycare provider that she chose. I thought it was lackluster and I didn't want my daughter going there. So I chose somewhere else. And we sort of had a disagreement. That's what kind of sparked it. We sort of had a disagreement about where our daughter was going to go for daycare. And I didn't like the place she picked. I picked another place. We couldn't agree. So her thought process was, we'll let the courts decide. And my thought process was, fuck the courts.
Thank you.
That's how I thought.
The courts.
All right, so let me add this last thing real quick. What do y'all think about him putting her on blast on the internet?
I think that's
he's a streamer.
I mean, and they're both celebrities. That's their lives too.
So that means everything goes.
They're young celebrities. So that's a part of young celebrity. That's a part of young people lifestyle, let alone young celebrity people lifestyle. You know.
The more in tune his viewers are with his life, essentially, the more money he will make over time. So he has to give them some nuggets, some meat, to keep them on the hook.
Jeez, man. Well, that's why I'm not arguing. I hear the point. I do hear the point that you guys have as fathers who have to, go through child support and shit like that. I'm just thinking I think some of the laws are supposed to be changing, where it's not as draconian, but it's still left to be. I guess it depends on what state you're in and the situation you have. But I mean, I hear what y'all guys are saying. I just think that he has more agita now than he needs to, and I think that some of it is self-inflicted. But I understand, but just showing up as somebody's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trey, I'm not you. I hate to keep this personal.
No, look.
You just show up to your crib and get the daughter back without.
She's never done that. No, but listen, I agree with the fellas on the panel. Him showing up to her house, taking a picture, that's some weird shit. I don't know what's going on, but I also know that he's probably in love. And I said, you heard me say this a million times, RP. Men are in love, women are in business. I say it all the time. Men are in love, women are in business. There's no doubt in my mind that he still loves that girl. Because I'm going to tell you why.
I agree with that.
Them baby girls had us fooled. We thought they were sweet.
Oh,
gentle.
man.
They used to sit up there and play that little guitar
and
sing those songs. These are good girls. And they signed with Beyonce. Oh, these are good girls.
No.
Nah, they fooled a lot of. They fooled me. I knew what time it was when I seen what kind of body Chloe had. I said, I know what kind of body that. I know what that does right there. I know what time it is with her. Right? They had people fooled thinking these were good girls, and I think to some degree, a lot of people still see her as this Disney princess. She's not. There's no doubt. And listen, women lie about. The stories I could tell y'all about women lying up when it comes to this TV stuff. They will lie straight to your face. They will lie. Definitely. If they believe that it will benefit them in the long run. When I tell you that majority of these domestics that I have been on were initiated and started by the woman, I mean that. Whatever way. Now they typically don't get the best of the situation because men are physically stronger, right? And that's just typically how that cookie crumbles, right? But majority of these situations when they get started, it's the woman starting. She's doing something to initiate it. And when we actually break down the story and get the full detail, and if you ask the right questions to the women, they'll tell you, well, yeah, I did slap. Well, why did you slap? You know what I mean? Yeah, I did throw something at because you know what? Exactly. Because
Yeah.
So yeah, I did mush his face, and I did. Okay, well, you initiated this domestic. You started this. You initiated, and where I work in DC, we took the initiator. We didn't take the person who got the best out of the fight. We took the person who started it. So I arrested a ton of women for domestic violence. A ton of women for because they typically started, right? But I agree with 100. Who knows? She might have thin line between love and hate. Beat herself. She might have beat herself and put them home marks on her. And I also do remember there was a clip of her saying a long time ago about her chipping her tooth because she fell down the steps or something. It was a while ago. She had talked about chipping her tooth. She fell down the steps. How do we know this isn't the same tooth that was chipped? Right. This is why these investigations are important. This is why you got to get people to get in there and start asking questions, ask real questions, and to get to the bottom of it, because women will lie. It is to their benefit, especially when there's children involved, because the children are the leverage. The children are always the leverage. As long as she's got the kid, she's got the leverage. As long as I hold on to the kid, I got the leverage. And this is why I agree with 100. Once you take the kid away from her, you'll start to see her true colors come out. You'll start to see if she really, truly, because most of these women, I don't believe, give a shit about the kid. It's not about the kid. They don't care about the kid. They like to use the kid as leverage. Once you take the kid away, you'll find out whether she truly loves her child or not. Because if she says, you know what, and I've seen this happen, I've seen women say, you know what, our daughter is in better hands with, or our son is in better hands with you, right? They should go with you because it would be better. He'll get more structure. He'll get more discipline, right? He needs to be around, man, my son came and lived with me when he turned 11, right? He only went back because of the school that he went to, and in order to get him to school, he had to live with his mother, right? That's the only way to get him in. Because I live in Columbia, she lives in Prince George's County. So it's just a lot of logistical issues there, right? But outside of that, he was with me. During COVID, he was with me, right? And the sign of a good parent is that you can step away and do what's best for your child, not what's best for you. And so I agree with 100 a lot. A lot of these fathers should be given the child. Because they're more likely probably going to be in a better situation with the father in most cases.
Well, listen, and you know what? When's the last time we heard of a guy who's raising his kid get up on the internet and talk about how hard it is, how this, how that? Men just take care of what they got to take care of. I mean, that's what we're built for, right? I mean, the crosses that we have to bear in life just become part of what our life is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't sit around complaining about that kind of shit, man. I mean, not really, you know? That's why when I hear women say, well, I want you to be more emotionally in touch and all that shit, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't want to sit down here and get into some mealy mouth conversation I don't need to. You know, everything's cool. If it's not, and I need to have your emotional support, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. You know,
You know what, RP, it's a crapshoot though. It really is. If I would have told you that the woman that I had my daughter with is the same, like they're two different women. I never saw that. I never saw anything. I'm serious, man. Like after she had our daughter, bro, it's like she just turned into somebody else. It's like she wasn't like this. And I told her that. I'm like, look, you're different. I don't know whoever this person is. I don't like this person. Bring back the person that I was with. Yeah, bring back the old you, because I don't know who this is. But it did happen after we had our daughter. And I think a lot of it has to do with there's less attention to her, right? There's less, people aren't calling to talk to her anymore. They're calling to talk to the baby. Where the baby at, right? Where's your daughter at? I think a lot of that has some sort of mental effect on women. If they feel as though they're not getting the same attention and energy from a man, and maybe I wasn't. I'm not saying I was perfect, right? Maybe I wasn't, but my thought process always been, what's best for our daughter? What's best for our daughter? That's always been, and I told the judge that. And I told the judge straight up, you're not here to do what's best for our daughter. You don't care nothing about what's best for my daughter. You don't. You have a set of rules and these little guidelines, and you got these numbers, and all you doing is piecing the puzzle together. You couldn't care less, because not once did that judge ever ask either her or me, how is your daughter actually doing with the separation? Never once was it ever asked. How is your child actually handling the separation? They don't
find
care.
it completely diabolical. The number that you said you're paying every month and plus maintaining your lifestyle, I would think is proof enough of you being able to take care of your child. You're paying extra on top of being able to take care of yourself. But that doesn't prove well enough for you to be able to maintain and manage your child? How does that make sense, my G? Because in the court order that I have, in order for me to gain custody of my children, because here's the thing, for her to have them, she just has to have them. But for me to maintain custody, I have to prove a living space. I have to prove that each child has a room of their own. I have to prove that I can provide food. I have to prove certain things in order for them to say, like it has to be a situation where she's neglecting my children in order for the court to say, all right, we're going to give him custody of it. These laws and how all of this shit is set up needs to change.
Yeah, they do.
And 100, this is why I'm saying him going to court doesn't benefit him.
Don't do nothing for him.
Don't do nothing for him. He's actually putting himself in a worse position by going to court. And this idea that a man can't come see his child, since when?
Yeah, but I mean, he's not just come see it's unannounced, man. I mean, but if some people could do that, some people can't.
He's in love or pain. And that's obvious. That's obvious.
But
he's hurt. The breakup hurt him. You can see it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
but here's the why would it be a problem to show up unannounced? If there are two adults operating in an adult manner, I should be able to pop up and say, I want to take young boy to get some ice cream.
I mean,
and it not be a problem.
No. If we live a separate
because
life,
now the expectation, because what you're saying is the expectation is for the man to be the adult and let her be as immature as she wants.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that. Listen, forget about. I guess we can't. I think the kid is the discriminator here. I just don't go to somebody, even if I got a brother somewhere. I'm not going to just show up at his house to say, "Oh, hey, I was in the neighborhood." I mean, you tell people you're coming, right? I mean,
I do that. I tell my boy, "Hey, what you doing? I'm around the corner." I mean, I don't believe that he's just popping up and she had no idea.
That's what I'm saying. So, but that's only information
I believe that he at least at minimum sends a text message to say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to pick up Halo. I'm getting ready to pick up Halo." I've done it. I've sent a message to say, "Hey, I want to take her to go get some."
I think that makes all the difference in the world. But I think that makes all the difference in the world. So, right, I'm taking her word for it. She could be lying about that he did. I'm just
assuming. She is lying about it.
Why take a picture of the bed, though? Why take a picture of the bed? Who the fuck take a picture of the bed? Be like,
hey, Rogish, that is weird, bro. But because he's in love, I know why he took that picture. It hurts him to know that she's sleeping with Brent Fayez or whatever the guy is. It hurts him. Yeah. It's killing him.
I mean, but
that's funny. Sleeping? You doing the same? You doing the same circle trick you was doing with him in this bed? That's funny.
That's fucked up, man. And
that's assuming.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the power the woman have over the guy, man. Go find another girl, man. That's what you need to do. She gave him.
If he was streaming, he got a list of chicks, but maybe not a celebrity. What other celebrity could he get though? What other celebrity chick could he get?
He's a millionaire streamer. There's a lot of women out there, pretty women, kind of a dime a dozen.
What does he stream?
I don't know. I don't.
They do those IRL streams, and they just like whatever he's doing during the day. It just the camera's just fun, like Casanat and all of them. Like how they do, they just the camera just follow him around.
That shit is cool.
Here's why I almost want to agree with Trey and just flat out say that she's not telling the truth. Because again, these are two people that share everything about their life online. And you're telling me that these two events you didn't share online. I haven't seen a screenshot of the text message that he sent to her that she posted on her Twitter. I haven't seen that. If it's there, I'm more than willing to be corrected. But I don't think she showed that. Whenever what happened. And then the story that she told was that she was putting him in the car seat. He told her to get out the car. He pulled her. He beat her ass. And then they rolled in the car together to go to his family house. What?
Yeah, 100. You putting the story together now. Now it's not starting to make sense. Because first of all,
now you telling me he beat your ass and took you to his mama house? How does that?
Yep, that's exactly what she's saying. Yep, that's exactly what she's saying.
And chipped my tooth, man.
Our Payne. 100 and I have probably picked up our child hundreds of times. I have never had her put our child in the car seat. I've always done it. You get the child, you put him in the car seat. So you tell me he didn't get out the car to get his own child? He just stayed seated while she put the kid in the back. Come on, man.
She don't even leave the threshold. When I go pick them up, I stand outside. She stand in the house. We wave at each other. They come outside, and we leave.
Exactly.
That is the exchange. Now, I will say that I will say that I do think that me and Trey are lucky in that sense, because there are too many stories of having these difficult
Right.
changes. And
Situation,
so,
yeah.
because I haven't had, I'm going to be 100% honest and tell you that I have not had any of those problems with mine. You know what I'm saying? We had it once we split up. We had about a year where we had a rough patch where we wouldn't communicate well. But then it just got to a point. It was like, you know what? We arguing about nothing. The only time I need to talk to you is about these kids, and that's literally whenever her name pop up on my phone, she's calling me about the kids. So we definitely got to a point to where we were being adults, both of us being adults, and the only thing that matters is the kids. Now, because during that year, because we were in that year and the courts got involved, because we were rocky, it's too late now. The cat's already out the bag. So now we just got to deal with this shit. You feel me? And that's just where we at. But these two, they can easily just fix this. There doesn't need to be another man that says when he's allowed to go see his son. All they gotta do is stop being petty to each other. Because I'm not gonna say that he's clear of being petty, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he should have the right to be able to see his child and protect himself and his child from the bullshit and manipulation that is happening on the other side. That is the only point that I'm making.
And a child being sick is not a good enough reason that you can't still conduct the exchange. It's not a good enough reason.
My baby moms, whenever they sick, she be trying to give them to me so she can get healthy,
sure.
and they leave her the fuck alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so listen, man, we got medium man to go through some statistics next 4 minutes. And that'll kind of bring this kind of home in terms of, you know, what man's role is with the kids and all that kind of stuff, black men in particular. So that's real quick. Medium man's pretty good. Let me find it. There you go. Is it in the right place? Yes, in the right spot. Let's go.
Fathers were in the lives of, you know, the child, right? So that's two examples of that's positive examples of black men being there. So why is the black community always focused on the minority? And that's because it's conditioning. That's where the education comes in, and all these conversations could be stopped if we just did the research. Now, what Black Man Unfiltered said is absolutely true. There's a doctor that did the study in regards to Child's being not the father. I did a video on it. Out of the men that was tested, 30% of them came back as not the father. And that was only a small percentage of men that were tested. And you have to remember, every man does not get a DNA test. So only the men who request the DNA test, 30% came back not the father. So just extrapolate that out to the total population. If they made it mandatory for it to be DNA tests at at birth, you know how many men would not be the father? That's pretty crazy, right? So let's start there. Now let's go to black fatherhood. First, we have to understand that 54% of black men have never fathered children. And this is not a black man thing. Across history, only 40% of men have ever fathered children. So if 54% of black men have never fathered children, that leaves 46% who have. It has already been proven that black men are the most involved fathers than any other race of men. And that's just not from black men. That's from black women. Black women did the study in 2018, and they proved that black men are the most involved. So if you take 46%, and let's just use 23.5% of those men are in their child's lives and they're happy with the child custody, then that leaves what? Almost 80% of black men either don't have children or they're in their children's lives. So what you're discussing is the leftover 23% that may be deadbeat fathers, right? And then you have to start pulling the layers away from that. What about the mothers that don't allow their parent or their fathers to see their children? And then you got to keep pulling the layers back to get to the overarching point. Now let's go to the lead attorney's video. He just explained, and he goes on to further explain it. This dude, 20-year attorney, right? And I did the research just so I could be clear before I did the video on what he said. He's basically saying that the reason why lawyers don't take those cases is because the woman has to be the worst of the worst in order for the man to win. If she's not, then you're simply paying the attorney. He's going to take your money. If he's a bad attorney, he's going to take that 80,000, that 115,000, pocket it, and put his kids to private school, because he knows that you will not win unless that mother is on drugs. She has abandoned the kids. She's a degenerate. She's been arrested. That's when the lawyer will say, no, we're taking this to court because we actually have a case to win. So that's why when you see the numbers at 90% of fathers being awarded custody when they fight, is because the only cases that go to trial are the ones that the lawyers can win, right? So when we talk about Black fatherhood, I don't understand why the Black community goes to the negative first instead of pointing out the positive. And then when we point out the positive, it's like, well, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about all the other people that I talk to, or all the other people that I see on social media. So that's the issue. We have to stop this social conditioning by looking at the Black men as their degenerates and not being there for their fathers. What we're talking about in regards to child custody and fighting is the minority. And also another point, women expose themselves when they put how much they get in child support. Because if you tell me on social media that you're only getting $20, you know what that tells me? That means that the father or the man that you had children with, he has other kids. That custody is split between the children. So if you're only getting $20, then you absolutely got pregnant by a man who is fathering multiple kids. Because remember, 61% of Black women have mothered children. Only 46% of Black men have fathered children. And also between 2015 to 2019, Black women had 1 million more children than Black men. Where does those children come from? They come from that small minority of Black men and other races of men. So when you talk about this, let's extrapolate that out to all men, because 1 million more kids than your male counterparts, that says something. So we got to stop this narrative that Black men are just struggling to pay child support and things of that nature. The median child support payments is like somewhere between $500, and all Black men aren't even on child support. If you look at the statistics for each state, they break it.
All right, so I'll end it there. So, I mean, he said a mouthful there, right? So again, I think that in general, this whole notion about the way the young kids, both male and female, man, boy and girl, being raised, it falls on the shoulder, mostly on the women. They make the decision about how this thing happens, you know? You just can't, there's just no two ways about it.
I think their view mirrors that, which is the view of America itself. Homie said, "Look, we got to stop stop people saying, whatever the bad stat is or whatever." The thing is, they don't. It's almost like if you were someone who could get A's but you didn't, right? And then you start getting A's, right? People don't understand when the A makers, they get ignored as well. You might get some kudos, a little bit more kudos than those who, slack off or whatever. But no, you're doing what you're supposed to do. It's like, it's like you're on a track as opposed to being cultivated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lack in that as well. What you're looking at is a perspective that is outside of them. They're going to lock Black men into whatever beneficial perspective that they need for their narrative, despite whatever reality says. And what woman have you encountered that actually rocks with reality as reality is? That's not their thing. Everything about them is a dream. Everything about them is a fucking fantasy. And then they don't like when somebody sell them the dream.
I hear you. Anybody else? Got 100? 10? What you got? You're over there munching, man. So
No, look, I'm glad that Media Man said those things. I made that point before that, Black women have 1 million more kids than, I think I said it last week, have 1 million more kids than Black men do. And for whatever the various reasons it is. And I agree, for whatever reason, not just in our culture, but in this country, the salaciousness of talking about the minority it's appealing. We love to talk about like the one or two people that are doing all the bad stuff, right? Like I remember a report came out in New York while I was still in the apartment, and it's basically saying like majority of the violent crimes that was happening in New York was only happening by like 300 people or something like that. Like all these people that are there, like all this violent crimes was only really being committed by like a small group, but that's all they talked about. And I just realized like we have a problem in this country where we talk, even when we talk about like homosexuality, it's a very small group in comparison to the rest of the population in the country. Yet we talk about it all the time. It's like 1% of people. Like who cares?
Yep.
Do what you want to do. You're this compared to the 40 million or 45 million of us. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, this gets the most news. It is literally the term the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Like it's like we do this all the time, and then we allow it to become a representation of our culture. We allow it to become the image that people see us. Like all of us aren't thugs. We don't all rap. We don't all play sports. Like that's not, that's not what we do. Like, but because you saw, and that's again another very small group of Black men who play sports and who are entertainers. Now we think that all of us do. Like people will see Tan and see all his tattoos and think, oh, he got to be a rapper. No, that's not. No, he likes tattoos. Like that, it's got nothing to do with anything else. You know what I mean? Like, but that's what they would see, and because it's a small group, we've allowed it to take over the image. I remember KS would say we have an image. We do have an image problem, but it's not of our doing. I don't believe it's all on us of our doing. I think it has a lot to do with people just love to just pay attention to these little small things and then blow it up and make it bigger and not pay attention to all the good and positive things that are actually happening within the community.
I agree with that.
I agree.
They would have to acknowledge the Black man's natural majesty, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to acknowledge the leadership skills. The statistics will show you that when it comes to being instrumental within their child's life, the Black child, no one is more pertinent than the Black man. They say Black men teachers are the best teachers, period.
But
for the
so
school,
question,
uplifted. Go ahead.
No, finish my back.
Oh, go ahead.
No, rock it.
Okay, so I hear Trey, I hear Son, but the only people like perpetrating this lie are the women that are lying. So it's like
No.
The
girls are doing it. Yeah, the sisterhood is holding this together. The sisterhood is gassing up this. What would he say? The 23%? They're gassing it up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying everybody else. I'm saying like you have this code of sisterhood that want to believe that all these men are having kids or in and out of jail. Like I seen a video on Anton Daniels, a review, a recap, and it's like a Black woman just kept spewing out just stereotypes from like the 90s, and it's like where you at? Like, why do you keep spewing this hatred towards Black men? You know what I mean? It's so sickening to me. But
that's the ideology. That's the ideology. The thing is, they need to, because this whole system is set up to be on the backs of Black men. This whole shit is set up like that. That's why we got to deal with everybody being out of pocket to a certain degree, unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? And you have some cats that think that they have to live down the stereotypes and all that. But it's like, nah, wait a minute. You have to see me as some form of lesser, marginalized. You know what I'm saying? Not up to code or standard. Even when I'm obliterating your standard, even when I'm resetting your standard, even when I'm resetting the entirety of when I'm Michael Jordan and shit. Because that's largely what we do, right? We're not just stellar in just the motorical form or whatever. We're stellar at everything. Any science that we get into, any industry that we get into, any skill set, any profession. Everybody is scared day one as if we've been there for 20 years. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. They have to not be able to acknowledge the fact that we are quality men. But that's why SBM is a thing. That's why Passport Bros is a thing. Because and if you ever been in the military, then you understand. You know what I'm saying? When women of the world is choosing. When you learn that at 18, you know what I'm saying, 1997, they were up, you got beautiful skin. And I was like, baby, really? I ain't that shit, you know? And they all choosing. And they just want to know if you a good man. And their qualifications are very simple. Don't lie to me, you know? tell me the truth, be kind. You know what I'm saying? The standard shit that you would read about in Aesop's Fable, man.
Yeah. And that's not saying like you're not going to deal with the regular stuff that women do, but it's just like the whole having pretension towards you. You know what I mean? Having like a way they think about you or how she feel about you is something I think Media Man was trying to say about the whole stats of like, yo, y'all don't have no room to talk about all the black men having all these kids and everything. When we have less of a population than y'all and y'all have more kids than us. That's crazy to me. And we're more married. We're more married.
Right. We're more married to you. Yeah. We're more married to black women than any other women.
Yeah.
Which debunks the whole black men don't like black women thing.
Yeah.
That shit right there blows my mind. I'm like, where did that come from?
But you know what I find funny? The most criticism I've ever got was from the people who were closest to me. If you've ever played sports, your worst critic is your teammate. He's the one that's telling you, yo, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. You ran that drill. Stop half-assing your drills. Right? Even when I was in the military, the people who got on me the most were my sergeant, the people who I work with every single day. So why would I not have a critique for black women? That's who I'm closest to. That's who I see majority of my time.
That's what I'm going with.
Why would I not critique?
So,
right.
Yes, I want you to grow in the right lane as I'm growing in the right lane, and I hope that you give me some loving, you know what I'm saying, adjustments or nudges or awarenesses if you love me, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Fuck out.
Y'all supposed to be teaching my daughter, okay? I have a daughter that I'm trying to raise, and she's gonna end up outside, around, and interacting with y'all. So, hey, I'm gonna be critical about who my daughter kicking it with.
Oh, you got
point blank period.
Absolutely,
motherfucker.
It's one of my criteria, and when I'm dating now, it's one as I'm like, if I bring you around, I have a daughter. What message do you send? When she looks at you, does she see class or does she see ass? Was daddy just bringing around girls that that he just having sex with, or is he bringing around quality women? You know what I mean?
Now,
that's a big deal to me.
Now, is this after you pop up at the mom's house unannounced?
You know what?
Before and after.
I'm about to head over there right now. As a matter of fact, my daughter's probably asleep. She probably asleep. I will get locked up tonight. If I showed up now, I'll get locked up tonight.
Did she pop up out of the house too?
No, she's never done it. She's never done it. But there have been times like I had a softball game one time. It was literally around the corner. The softball game got done, and I literally just hit her. Was like, "Yo, did our daughter eat?" And she's like, "No, I was gonna cook something. I haven't cooked nothing. I'm gonna come grab her, take her to get something to eat real quick." Okay, all right, no big deal, no problem. I had no issues at all.
It's supposed to be an understanding, is it?
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to be.
And it was completely
the fact y'all not together. Pimp C said it. Wicked women using children to live on. When her try to hate because she hate the thrill is gone. Oh, because the thrill is gone. The thing is children become material. Like you say, they're the leverage, Trey, right? They become material or some form of an object or something. They're no longer your children. They're her kids.
Yeah.
And I've noted that so many times. Like, why do they take ownership of the children? Just like Robert W. put in there. I give 23. She give 23 chromosomes. Why does my 23 not matter? You know what I mean? It's my kids. No, our kids. My kids. I'm like, man, that shit will make you want to get into, some domesticness.
I don't know, man. What you do is correct them, man. It's funny. You got to correct them right away. But first on this point, the point that we were talking about, a lot of shit that black women say about black men, if you really listen closely, it's really a projection on how they behave. They project all that shit on us, and it really is true. I mean, for example, when they talk about, they can't stand seeing a black man with a white woman, you know what I'm saying? But they praise black women who marry white men, right? So those kind of things,
for real.
The truth of the matter is, if you really look at some of the black women, a lot of them crave to be married to Zaddy. They really do,
Yeah,
right? They said,
but they
you
don't
know,
get they
and
don't get
so,
selected like we'll get selected
right,
with,
yeah, so they won't get
you know what I'm saying,
selected by
white
these
chicks.
guys
Yeah.
because they ruin their they ruin their stature around the world. Nobody, a lot of people want peace with their women. They don't want to be this shit that they see, man, arguing and
They don't
cooking.
think that they disturb peace though. This is the thing. If they don't think that they disturb peace and they believe that they're within, you know
They're
what I'm saying,
learning that.
healthy, harmonious
Yeah.
relationships, they're okay learning now, but look at what it took.
Well,
If it,
yeah, well,
if it took
sometimes you gotta
if
fall
you
off the
just
cliff
couldn't
to know
listen
you
to the
falling.
loving, if you just couldn't listen to the loving guidance of the one that you said that you love, be like, hey, maybe a little bit more
They ain't
sugar, a
listening
little
to
bit more
us.
sugar.
They ain't listening. But you know, have you guys noticed though? More and more black women are coming on social media trying to straighten out the sisters. I don't know if they're sincere or not.
Well,
I've
they've
seen
been
one
knowing they wrong the
TikTok.
whole time. They've been knowing
I've
they've
seen
been wrong the whole
one.
time. They know they wrong. We can't act like they don't know they
no,
wrong.
I'm talking about one speaking out. I hear a lot more sisters starting to speak out.
There's like one that
Well,
I
yeah.
can really say that's genuine on TikTok. I forgot her name, but she's on TikTok.
What, Caprice? Chevy Caprice?
Nah, she's like dark skinned.
Damn, that's her name.
I could find her. But like even when they were on the even when she was on a podcast on the live, like other girls was getting down her throat and was like going at her. So
They got a few on TikTok. They got a few on that.
they got to take.
So they call her pick me's. They call those women pick me's. I remember when they started using that terminology.
It was crazy.
So okay, so
no, because you see girls on the Lapeef network try to have we here for the community and all this other shit, and they just revert back to their whole normal code. So
When I went over to the Lapeef network, the chicks, they were, all right, I assume every chick is a feminist. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because that's the social conditioning that they receive. That's within the United States, not just within college. That's the social conditioning that they receive as a woman within the United States, right? So it's like, all right, I assume all of them are feminists, and it's going to be to some specific degrees. Let's say there's a gradient to it, right? The women on the Lapeef network, they seem, you know what I'm saying, somewhat receptible if you delivered with a genteel. You know what I'm saying? The cats over there, everybody was at that time trying to be on you know what I'm saying, Black Manosphere Kevin Samuel shit. What's that homie name? Anton, what is old Mark Ash, right?
Anton Daniel.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He learned KS's blueprint and picked up some game with that, like a lot of folks did, right? But in the beginning, he was striking out. They wasn't receptive to him. I went on there, they were receptive, and he started hating. That was his bitch ass. But the thing is, when you're dealing with black women, you have to know you're going to be dealing with an issue. You're already dealing with emotional issues. You're dealing with issues of identity, right? That just comes with being black and everything. Right. The fact that, you know what I'm saying, we don't know what it would feel like to almost feel like you got to be in another woman's shadow with the white woman. Like, we don't know how she feel with the white woman. As a black man, I don't feel like I'm living in the white man's shadow. No, I don't feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Robish, you're right. You're absolutely right, though. But black women are the most coddled women in the whole goddamn world, man. Nobody gets coddled as much as black women. And they got this incessant inferiority complex that makes them, it's just hard to be around. Yeah. Everything is a challenge to, so they need constant affirmation. And they're easily swayed. That's why they're a spokesman for all the fuck shit that's going on. LBG, alphabet community,
all that
all kinds of stuff, man. You see, you give a black woman a bullhorn, and she's a champion for all kinds of bullshit, man.
That's because she's empty inside, though, and she won't let nobody tell her that and be like, "Look, this is what you fill yourself with, bitch."
Well, no, listen. I mean, but what I'm trying to say is, you're right.
That's why they big up the degrees the way they do. I got a degree, and this and that. All right, then, well, that means something to you. What you gonna do with it? And who else is finna benefit off of that? Why you find it? But you trying to show your degree like a fucking form of defense, the same way these racist Peckerwoods do with the American flag. They'll show up with the flag like, "Hey, fuck you, nigga." It's like, "Hey, I'm in this country too."
No, well, one of the things that we got to be careful of, one of the things I'm careful of when a woman has a lot of degrees, You know, even if it's not, if I was looking for a woman and she had a lot of degrees, even if it's not the reason why I would be with her, I would never belittle her getting one. Because if it's important to her, it's important to her. So I wouldn't. But if she thinks that's what's going to woo a man, that's where I would correct her, right? Because that's, I don't know.
Right.
I haven't met a man who says, "Listen, I want to marry you because you got a PhD." God damn, that shit turns me on. I haven't heard a man ever say that.
No, but that's
if
how
you
much.
Pretty
have
sure
That's
there
how
are some
much it
marriages. I'm
weighs
pretty
to
sure there are some
them.
marriages that have been arranged based on that. There probably have been arranged marriages.
Yeah, but
based
these are exceptions and not rules, right? I mean, the basic
Of
rules
course.
between men and women. My point
Of
really
course.
is, I would, if I have my girl, my woman's a college educated woman, but that's not why I married her.
Right.
You
It's just
know,
something you can appreciate. You know what I mean?
And I'm not.
Yeah, so
And I'm
So
not
you
here
don't want
to
a dumb shit. Nobody want a dumb shit, right? It's boring as hell with a dumb shit. But the thing is, what we should be asking ourselves is, why does it weigh so much to them as part
no, we shouldn't
of
ask that. We
of
know why.
We know why.
We know
why?
why.
I
Well,
don't know
because
why.
feminism told them to do.
I don't know
Feminism
feminism.
say, get your bag. And for them,
Yeah.
education, get the bag, be a corporate woman, put your family on hold. And somewhere when you're in 30s and you had 100 dicks, now it's time to find a man. And they don't understand. I mean, it's kind of, I'm exaggerating, but the truth
Real
of the
talk.
matter
That's real
is,
talk. Nah, that ain't exaggerating, goddamn. Nah, it ain't. Not in this future.
And so one of the other things is with women, though, and I'll tell them all, and I'm really serious about this. When they talk about trauma, and I'm not talking about SA, I'm not talking about assault. That's real trauma. But every woman who's went through her 20s and waiting to settle down somewhere in their 30s, when they start talking about past relationships, all their trauma is at the edge of some man's Johnson. If
Getting cheated
feel
on
bad,
is not trauma.
I'm saying their personal trauma has to do with some man somewhere. I don't care what story it is. Once you peel back the onion, it's always that's why they shouldn't have so much different men.
Yeah. If you listen enough,
Well, I mean, but hold up, but that means they belong to the game, and she a hoe that don't want to claim being no motherfucking hoe. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, then, what the fuck? That mean there's more hoes in the future, man. You know what I'm saying? And I guess the right motherfucker ain't declared it to be such what it is, but it's like, what else do you see out here? What the hell? How many dicks could she could have had back in motherfucking 40s and the 50s? You know what I'm saying? Before she was declared a hoe. And even though it became some culture or something like that, all right, then you just got a lot more hoes.
Yeah. I think it's going to get to a point where people like Payne and Hunnit and me, like we're not going to be responding to like the negative backlash on what you think about black men. You know what I mean? Because like you said, the hoes will be hoes, and these hoes be retiring and still want to shit on black men. And I feel like 2025, and especially going forward, I feel like a lot of us ain't gonna really be all right. Cool.
Man. They've been shitting on black men for decades, man. It's like it's
Yeah. It's been almost 100 years, nigga.
Color purple. I mean, they've been shit. They got a whole regimen of
late
stuff.
60s.
I think it's just turning now where men are just saying, you know what, all that shit's bouncing off our back because the older ladies get, men starting to realize that there's somebody. If I got to go find me a wife, I might not necessarily have to marry a black woman. Right? It depends on what kind of wife. You
want to marry a woman that keeps your peace, man. Look, the woman that keeps the peace of my brother is my sister, no matter her color, no matter her culture, nothing like that. Because a black man's peace should be the most important thing in his life. Because it seems like the world don't want us to have nan.
I think the brothers are starting to wake up, man. They're doing a lot better. Young guys, and I said the world's for you guys in the future, man.
That's why they were shaming passport bros. Why they were shaming passport bros, because dudes was going out and seeing what it was. You know what I mean? Some of us didn't live in the States that had a lot of multicultural, but the people who just now finally seen other cultures, that's why they were shaming passport bros. Oh, you buying pussy, you paying for pussy. Okay. But what am I doing in the States?
Pay for you. You don't want to ask for diamonds and rings and cars just to go out. Man, I don't know, man.
You gotta have 6 figures to date me, bitch. What kind of hoe is you? that ain't being declared a hoe. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm really
call
old
it-
school with this. And the
I
nigga
call
was
it,
took under wing by those who was laced and saturated in the game. And my venom sensors started tingling back in 2014 when you Cardi B and all this shit, when you saw what they were doing with Megan, when you saw, you know what I'm saying, all this whole shit took off. And it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? It's something that's just supposed to be accepted as if they just regular women. And they come through with the same bloviated standard as a hoe, the same goddamn demanding as a hoe. They dressing like hoes, talking like hoes. You know what I'm talking about? They just ain't selling the motherfucking pussy. Or maybe they is, you know what I'm talking about?
I wanna ask black women a random curious question. Would you rather black men be gay or date white women? I know it's random. I know it's super random, and it came from left field.
I know how.
They gonna want motherfucker be a dookie dipper, cuz watching those selfish bitches.
Hey, there's some black women out there talking about them one gay men. That's the lavender shit they talking about now.
The lavender relationship. Yeah, I seen that last week in the airport. Yeah, lavender relationship.
You know what, man?
He's understanding.
What?
I seen it.
These bitches belong all the way to the Matrix, man.
And
Anyway, you know what, man? I think we entertain the black women too much when they start coming up with stupid shit like that. Number one reason why the black women especially should be anti a bisexual man is because they're killing black women with AIDS. That's where they get it mostly, by fooling around with guys who you know bottom feeders, man, and shit like that. And then they come home, they using protection with those guys, and they come home to you because you want a lavender love, and he's spending some purple haze on your ass, man. Stop.
Wait. You said lavender love? What the fuck?
That's what they call it. Love. They call it. Go with a gay guy. It's called lavender love or some shit.
And what's crazy is the one I
that's
seen last week.
gross,
There's some new shit coming out all the time.
Having a relationship. My wife told me about it. It's crazy.
You know, they're just making shit up as they go.
Oh, that's fucking gross. Them hoes from Atlanta, huh?
Yeah, I think it probably started in Atlanta. Yeah, it probably did.
Oh, that's fucking gross.
HIV rates are off the scale. All that shit, man. People are just crazy, man.
There's no end. There's no fucking end to.
They want it their way, man. They want the cake and eat it.
Man, that's crazy.
Oh my God. See, and as soon as you said that, I had a visual pop in my head. Oh my God, that is disgusting. That is nasty.
That's fucking nasty, cuz.
Lavender love.
I'm not trying to shame nobody. Whatever you do in your bedroom is your business. But you can't tell me that I'm not allowed
that's
to say
nasty.
That shit
Fuck that. I ain't shaming none of you nasty motherfuckers. I'm saying that shit's nasty. It's repugnant, goddamn. It ain't to shame your king. You just a nasty motherfucker.
So did we solve World Hunger today of 100? Do we know why? Do we think women accept the fact that they're raising the men that they hate? Do they, is somewhere in the back of their mind, do they have some kind of understanding that these are chickens coming home to roost?
No, it's our fault.
Hey,
nigga, what?
They want their way, man. They want their way. I'm sorry.
Wait. It's whose fault?
He's just joking. He'll be back. He may not be back. I'm sure he'll be back. But that's the point.
I'm blaming on this bullshit on me, dog. No, we say fuck the dumb shit, fuck the bullshit where I'm from. And you know what I'm saying? Everybody supposed to play their motherfucking role, cuz. Please believe it, man. Shit.
So, I mean, we
get if they belong to the street, they belong to the street. They belong, and if the game has, you know what I'm saying, I guess quantized itself like everything else. All right, then these are motherfucking neo hoes. You know what I'm talking about? And call them and tell it what it is. Shit, what the fuck? That's why I got the feeling that I got when over all the years. You know what I'm saying, being in red pill spaces and cultivating that perspective with them and all that, and it's like, yo, it feels like we got knocked. That's what it feels like. It feel like a knocking has occurred. And the only reason that I know that is because I had, those in the game, took brother on the wing, saturated, marinate, all that, right? And I've seen the process. And it's like, you know what? That's what it feels like, a knocking. The fact that they have such the social conditioning to go into the detrimental, to go into the degrading, to go into all of that, but yet believe that they're projecting themselves up to some super high quality level of character, of state of character. It's like it's fucking crazy, man. Look, when
if you want to defeat, okay,
go ahead.
Yeah,
if you want to defeat white supremacy, you got to get your black woman in line.
White supremacy.
They got to get themselves in line.
I know, yeah, but for white supremacy to keep perpetuating, man,
you can't get a knocked woman in line, man. Once she's knocked, she's gone. That ain't your woman no more.
They got to see. Remember now, I call them they got the 92%. And then there's variations on the theme. Most black women are liberals. They think liberal. Okay, yeah. They're socially liberal. Yeah. Don't forget about what party, but they're socially liberal. So that means in their mind, the feelings is everything. If you know what I'm saying, everything. That's how they vote. That's how they see themselves. They see themselves as constant victims. Even when they're succeeding. I did a presentation here on Black Men Unfiltered. I have like a list of 30 black women who were mayors, AGs, judges, DAs, police chiefs, all fumble in the bag. All fumble in the bag. And the list gets bigger every day. I just collect them. And I'm saying that there's something fundamentally wrong when a lot of these women who get power corrupt so easily. So completely.
A woman isn't meant to have power. She's not. She's meant to be a battery for power. That's why King had a whole full what they call a harem. That's why King had a harem. Is power, right? They are the battery. They wish to be the motherfucking instrument.
Yeah, well,
that's not how it works.
But hold on for a second. I try not to make it. The only reason I focus on the black women is because they're black. I would imagine that there's some white women the same way. But
that's woman.
When you're talking about breaking this so-called glass ceiling, they stand out more because it's like the percentage is so small, right? And so for the percentage to be so small and you're all dropping the fumble in the bag that way, that shit is really glaring, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Look at the AG man in New York, Loretta Jane, Big Back Jane. She getting ready to go down for doing the same thing she came after Trump for. And blatantly, stupid shit.
The thing is that they don't understand that they trying to play a white man's game. In this nation, power is a white man's game, and they ain't built for that. They not built. Let's say that they could. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's say they could be built for power, whatever. All right, directing leader. All right, you do it. You're not built for that in the white man's game. The only one that's built for that of our community is us. Clearly, because when we start participating, you know what I'm saying, and not even competing, just merely participating, our competition is feared as dominant. So who's supposed to be in the leader position? Who's supposed to be in the position of guidance? Who's supposed to be in the position of the instrument of power?
It's supposed to be men in general, men, period.
There you go. But she don't want a tambourine because, you know what I'm saying, the coldest feminine form of all history, feminism, tell her not to.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's beyond what women want now. That's what I'm saying. We know what they want, but we should just stop asking.
What the fuck they want? Wait. You know what they want? What they want?
Yeah, well,
I don't know what these motherfuckers want.
They want to be in charge.
Everything.
They want to be
already motherfucking in charge. What you mean?
Well, that's the point. But their leadership is failing, right? So it's only in the black community that we under this so-called matriarchal structure after the 60s.
A
right?
gynocracy, what
It's
what they
that's
call
not
in
the,
black
yeah, that's
ministry.
not the same way in a lot of other communities. It's in our community. The way they programmed our communities is like that. And so now black men are waking up and saying it's no longer acceptable. Now, and for some of us, it was never acceptable. Like when I got married, when I hear a man say this, she lets me lead. So what the fuck you talking about?
Yeah,
Hey,
it is a trip to hear
lets
that.
you lead. I can't. As soon as I hear God say, "What are you talking about?" She lets you lead.
That's why I
If she
say you
let
gotta
you
pick,
lead, you
pick
ain't
the
the
grandmother
leader.
mom.
Yeah, I said, man, you walk in there, you have to assume leadership regardless, or else she ain't the one for you. I mean, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's another story. Hey, listen, man, we're gonna do some final words 100. What you want to do? Can you hear me? I don't
Hey,
know.
I'm
You
gonna
can
say,
you
I
hear me?
said my thank y'all for the sharpening, and I holler at y'all on the flip. Be well.
Hey, man, thanks for coming up, Rogish. Something, yeah. Bet.
Respect, y'all.
Go ahead, Tan. What's going on, man? What's your last words?
Last words, man. For anybody watching this, man, don't let lust take you out the game. We done seen a lot of people get taken out. We see Zion Williamson.
Oh my God.
Don't let lust take you out the game, man. So a lot of men's downfall is they lust and they can't keep that shit in their pants. And you a man, so don't give the responsibility for them to take charge and to have your future in their hands. So what I mean, I do share I do share responsibility on both sides. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But men do better and don't fall for the lust. But the man that they're creating right now, only 1% of that is that they're producing. The other two, because we can talk on the internet. We got social media. We are sharing notes with each other. Hey, somebody in the boomer generation. Hey, young man, don't do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was in high school, I had a couple older black men telling me, "Hey, man, you gonna have if you get lucky, you'll get one good woman."
Mm-hmm.
So one good woman, and I always had a boomer tell me that, like, man, you get lucky, you'll get one. You know what I mean? So I've always had that in the back of my head in my 20s of I'm gonna just get one shot at this. The other shot, I'm gonna be like Trey, showing up unexpectedly. Trey gonna beat me up and find my house, right? You know all the cops. But yeah, man, it's nice having me, man. Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, well, yeah. So 100, what are we doing, man? What's happening? So, I mean, it was a good second part of the topic, man. So what you got to say?
I think naturally part 3 would have to be the damage of missing fathers. Naturally, that would have to be part 3 because we've already talked about men. We spoke about mothers. I think naturally that'd be number 3. My thought process to the grown ass men, hey, big dog, as long as you can control your dick and your diet, everything else will fall into place. Where you put yourself and what you put in your body will make the difference between you making good decisions and bad decisions, in my personal opinion, right? Because if you can control where you put your body and what you put in your body, you will innately be able to control who you have around you, what it is that you're involving yourself in. You will innately be able to build certain habits on yourself. So if you can control 2 things, then you will be able to avoid DV situations and some of the things that we argued about here tonight. Right? Not even argue, some of the things that we spoke about here tonight.
Okay.
Right. In terms of young men, we just have to hope that the father is actually around, and maybe there is a man that is around that is not trying to poke their mother to actually give them game. Because any man that's trying to poke your mother is not giving you real game, big dog. It's game for him to be able to pillow talk when he go back in the bed and lay with your mother. Okay. Men, young men, you have to be active in finding someone that you can relate to give you some kind of game so you can figure out the next steps in your life. Very important.
So okay, so this kind of I hear you. So that's some good stuff. I like the dick and the diet thing. The DD and shit. Right? Because it's true. It's true. I mean, because I know when I got out of balance and shit, man. There's no excuse for it, but it's true. When you look at it, man, your health has got to be on the top of the list, man. And what you do with your your sex life, we see it all around us. Guys are destroying themselves overset everything they've built. But in terms of maybe a part 3, I mean, we can look at it. I know we touched upon a little bit of what's going on. You went on a little preview, and how would that go? I mean, when you just find out, hey, because we kind of know what's happening with the absence of fathers. Not that I don't want to do it. So if we got some if we could make that, that would be a natural ending of this thing. Okay. But from the standpoint of saying what we can do better as men, or in the situation that we have, how do we navigate it to make it better in the future? Maybe that's part of it. Because we're in the pickle right now, right? Most of those kids don't have nobody to look up to, because they're not even by a deadbeat black man. They're by some other race or some other thing. So those guys are growing up. You know, so it'd be interesting. Well, let's go ahead and kind of throw it up there. We can find it. Definitely be something on the internet talking about that. Yeah, you know, I just want to know what we're gonna say. I mean, actually, I know what we're gonna say. There's a lot of stuff. We'll be kind of stepping on a little bit of what we talk about today too, but moving forward from a different standpoint. That can we fix it? You know, there might be something interesting to talk about. Anyway, this was good, man. I just think that the title today really can't argue. It'd be nice if we had a woman up here to come up and say, you know what, we are responsible for that. We are responsible for that shit. Well, listen, if you get a chance, Crimson Cure put out a video today talking about this very thing, because Corey Holcomb talked about this subject, and she did a reaction to his video, and it's on. And Crimson Cure that's her name. It's a very good video. It's kind of long, but you can fast forward. If she would have done it yesterday, I would have had a clip of that for this show. It was right on par with this topic we're talking about. Anyway, man, thanks for everybody in the chat. You know, Braxton, hey Braxton, how come you don't never come up no more? Robert W, Trey, you know, Son coming by. Man, we had a whole bunch of people come by. Anissa, she dropped by for a cup of coffee. Finesse Visions. Anyway, I don't have anything else. Do you?
Nah. Much love to each and every one of y'all that showed up tonight.
All right, so we are gonna go with the part 3.
I'm down for that. We definitely gonna talk in the background and put it together, but I think that would definitely be the night, like you said, the nice bow on top of it, because of course we want to make sure we being fair and don't want women feeling like we only dragging women.
Now let's drag their asses, man. Let's drag them, man. They need to be dragged. But you know what, man? I'm not in the game, but it's a good thing. So we could come up with something clever. Maybe we'll come up with a solution, one way or the other. All right, man. So we'll talk, man. You got my email, we got yours. Let's do it. So everybody wants to say good night. Let's go ahead. Get it done.